You call it the triangle axiom.
I do, yeah.
Thank you, Mike.
Right, so you've managed to confuse a lot of people within that argument. Weird times, buddy. Because like you weren't trying to say that all horizontals are not parallel because you can draw a cross on a piece of paper.
I was temporarily agreeing.
That wasn't the argument.
For fuck's sake.
Because some people have took it as though that is.
I'm sorry. Separate discussion. Happy to talk about that one day. What I originally suggested, and Mike knows this, Mike Jones. We agreed we'd sort of discuss the fifth postulate first. You call it the triangle last time.
I do, yeah.
I discussed the swimming pool. Thank you, Mike. Question.
Weird times, buddy.
You don't understand.
Be quiet. Swimming pool. Thank you, Mike. Question.
You don't understand.
For fuck's sake. I'm sorry. Thank you, Mike.
It's not my problem if you don't want to learn.
Thank you, Mike.
You're just on your own.
Well, that I hold to be a self-evident. You call it the triangle axiom.
I do, yeah. Because it's got just about a triangle,
So,
yeah.
The question is, why did you include that axiom? You call it the triangle axiom. That postulate.
I do, yeah.
Why did you include that at all? You call it the triangle axiom.
I do, because it sort of shows that triangles have 180 degrees, right? Or the sum of two right angles.
You know? So
Later
you're
it's
saying,
changed to 180.
how does it show? Well, yeah, it does. I mean, you can prove that, but why did he include that? You call it the triangle axiom. If you can...
Oh, you can prove it?
Be quiet. If you can prove that triangles have... You call it the triangle. The sum of the angles is two right angles. Why would you need... For fuck's sake. Sorry, that's my question. You call it the triangle axiom.
You don't understand.
You call it the triangle axiom.
You don't understand.
I was temporarily agreeing. Be quiet.
It's not my problem if you don't want to learn.
Thank you, Mike.
You're just on your own.
For fuck's sake. I'm sorry. Horizontal lines can easily not be. You just, as I suggested, you just sort of get a horizontal line. That I hold to be a self-evident truth. You put two crossing lines on them, and by definition, any two lines, straight lines on a horizontal plane, are themselves horizontal. Thank you, Mike. So that's the problem. You can't. Well, it's not really a problem. Yeah,
It's not a problem because there's only three straight lines. How fucking difficult can it be?
Point again is that you cannot prove it. A lot of people, you call it the triangle axiom. Millennia thought you could prove the fifth postulate. You call it the triangle axiom. The question is, do we need the enclosure axiom? Yeah, but not on the globe hypothesis. I received opinions we don't need it because postulate 1 will do the job for you. And look, Bev, I simply wanted to ask you why you think the postulate's there, and you have explained that. And you have explained that. But not on the globe hypothesis. That I hold to be a self-evident truth. I'm sorry.
It's not my problem if you don't want to learn.
Be quiet.
You're just on your own.
I'll be perfectly honest. I'm sure there are better people back at the other place, the blue place, who can prove this. And we're happy to talk to you.
No logic, no wisdom, no worries.
And you have explained that.
You're just on your own.
You know.
No reason, no logic, no answers to questions.
And you have explained that.
You're just on your own.
That I hold to be a self-evident.
It's a self-evident truth of reality that all triangles, in reality, have 180 or the sum of two right angles.
Be quiet. But not on the globe. Well, it's an assumption. For fuck's sake.
It's not an assumption, is it?
Sorry. For Euclid, it was an assumption because he knew he couldn't prove it. There was a huge debate which went on for centuries. You call it the triangle axiom.
What, that you couldn't prove that triangles have 180
They tried.
degrees?
They thought there was a question: is the fifth postulate? You call it the triangle axiom. Triangle axiom. Is it self-evident or not? A huge debate.
Weird times, buddy.
Thank you, Mike.
Weird times, buddy. You've brought an argument into a group of people that aren't ready for it.
Be quiet. You cannot. Euclidean geometry. You call it the triangle axiom. It does not follow. It doesn't work. But not on the globe. I don't need it as an assumption because we can prove it. You can prove it from the first postulate. For fuck's sake. Horizontal lines can easily not be. You can just, as I suggested, you just sort of get a horizontal plane. Right? Thank you, Mike. You put two crossing lines on them, and by definition, any two lines, straight lines on a horizontal plane, are themselves horizontal. For fuck's sake, I'm sorry.
You don't understand.
Well, that I hold to be a self-evident truth. For fuck's
You
sake.
don't understand.
If you could prove it, it wouldn't be a postulate,
It's
would it?
not my problem if you don't want to learn. You're just on your own.
You call it the triangle axiom.
I do, yeah, because he's got
Yeah.
just about a triangle, yeah.
The question is, why did Euclid include that axiom? You call it the triangle, that postulate or axiom. Why did he include that at all? Thank you, Mike.
Because it sort of shows that triangles have 180 degrees, right? Or sum of two right angles.
But not on the globe. So
Eight
you're
is
saying,
changed to
for fuck's sake, how does it show?
sorry,
How does it show? Well, yeah, it does. I mean, you can prove that, but why did he include that? Be quiet. If you can
Oh, you can prove it.
you call it the triangle axiom. If you can prove that triangles have the sum of the angles is two right angles, why would you need postulate? That's my question. I will not verbally disagree with it. What goes on in my own head is my own business. I do not believe that. Be quiet.
You don't understand.
You call it the triangle axiom. For fuck's sake, I'm sorry.
It's not my problem if you don't want to learn. You're just on your own.
Yourself, not tell me to be quiet.
You have a horizontal plane, and any straight line
Not
drawn
on
it
the globe.
must itself be horizontal. That I hold to be a self-evident truth. Yeah, not on the globe hypothesis. I was temporarily agreeing.
Right, so you've managed to confuse a lot of people within that argument.
I was temporarily agreeing.
Because like you weren't trying to say that all horizontals are not parallel because you can draw
Not on the
a cross
globe.
on a piece of paper, are you?
Thank you, Mike.
That wasn't the argument.
Not on the globe.
Because some people have took it as though that is.
For fuck's sake. Separate discussion. Happy to talk about that one day.
Yourself, not tell me to be quiet.
Point again is that you cannot prove it. A lot of people, you call it the triangle axiom. Centuries, millennia, thought you could prove the fifth postulate. You call it the triangle axiom from the preceding thought. Be quiet. I was temporarily agreeing. Not on the globe. You call it the triangle axiom. Not on the globe.
It's not my problem if you don't want to learn.
Be quiet.
Just on your own.
That I hold to be a self-evident truth. For fuck's sake, I'm sorry.
No reason, no logic, no
Be quiet.
wisdom, no worries.
And you have explained that.
You're just on your own.
Not on the globe, Mike.
No reason, no logic, no
quiet.
answers to a question.
And you have explained that.
You're just on your own.
Betty, do you believe the water surface is a horizontal plane of reference?
It's a horizontal plane, possibly. Not on the globe. Let's assume
Thank you.
the surface of either swimming pool is a horizontal establishes a horizontal plane of reference, right? Let's assume
Thank you.
the surface of either swimming pool establishes a horizontal plane of reference, right? It's not really a problem. Yeah,
It's
all they
not a
say
problem
is-
because there's only 3 straight lines. How fucking
what they're
difficult can it
saying-
be?
quiet.
And we are live. Welcome everyone. Hope everybody had a good Christmas. Boxing Day, but that's somebody didn't know that that's what we call it in the UK anyway. So yeah, this is just a Christmas stream. Hope everybody had a good Christmas. We're finishing off the year, so sort of like a free-for-all, but I have got a video that we want to sort of go over. We can do that in a bit, but I've just got to fly my bug back to the base. It's still out there. Yeah, so thanks for coming. Thanks for being here. Hope everybody did have a good Christmas. What's that? We are going to be finishing off this year because because we've said that the round and round, and I know it's never going to end really, but at some point the circular argument, the false dichotomy, has to be pointed out. And I think it's been left up to us to do it, because most people that we seem want to carry on proliferating a ridiculous argument, and it seems to just get worse. My volume's low. Is that right? It is, isn't it? Or is it?
Sounds good here, Bill.
Yeah, it looks okay in Discord. It's just Constance on the thing. My YouTube thing, so Streamlabs looks like it's acting up a little bit as well on the YouTube. Has anybody else confirmed that for us? What's the sound like in the YouTube? I'll keep talking, just so everybody can. I don't know how far behind you guys are, but the sound levels don't look too good.
You are a little lower on YouTube than you are on Discord, Bev.
Yeah. Everything's turned up. I think all my connections seem like they're okay. A little low, but not bad. Okay, well, we'll have to have a look into that in the coming days. Now, we've had over the past few days a flat earth mathematician in here, claims to be a teacher, following on from the Blue Marble Science teacher, the university chair of the mathematics department. So it seems like there's quite a few of these teachers that are wanting to discuss but not really discuss. They want to teach but they don't really want to teach because they don't really know how to. They just want to dictate their mathematics to us, but we're sort of a bit traditionalists. We like to stick to the foundations, the basics, and they won't accept it. They won't want to come and tell us why the foundations of mathematics is somehow wrong. They just want to tell us that it is. So that's where we are at. And we put a conversation out that we had. It was probably about 3 or 4 weekends ago, where these guys came round and had a chat to us. I think that they were practicing sophists who were just practicing their trade. At the minute, I'm going to have to just nip upstairs and get this, log off this for a minute. I can't play games and talk at the minute. Exit to main menu, there you go. Right, so we had a conversation. It was on for about 8 hours. I don't know how many people have bothered watching it, or, you know, who's curious about the conversations that we have had, and now these newer conversations, let's say. So we then followed up from that by going over to the politics server, where I think most of these guys have come from. They've come from this politics server and the idea of conversing, arguing, debating, or whatever within. I'm gonna have to stop doing that. They're debating this new sophistry, which they like to not have to make a claim, and they found a way of discussing it with a certain group of people where they never have to make a claim. They can let the other group of people make claims for them, particularly talking about the dogmatic globe earth believers, and they use flat earthers and the fact that flat earthers tend to want to know more about the globe than the flat earth than the globe earthers do, and they use that. Somebody's having a go at flat earthers. You can criticize anybody as much as you want, but I mean, guaranteed whoever it is amused a palate, you wouldn't be able to have a conversation with anyone really, because all you have is this idea that you can mock other people. You've got nothing, no proof, no understanding, no argument. You've got nothing to help yourself with, just these ridicules. And it's time it stopped. There's two groups of people here. There's one group of people that call themselves flat earthers that are given arguments by the likes of Nathan Oakley and QE and 10th Man, these shadow giants that hand out ridiculous arguments. So that's what flat earthers have got to work with, and the dogmatic globe guys have got no arguments to deal with anyway. They just use the ridicule of the flat earth. I mean, it's a false dichotomy, always has been, always will be, and it just goes round and round and round in circles. So let me see if I can find this clip. I can't remember where I had it. Should really have got it ready. Right, we said it was a 50-odd minute one. Three-hour one was here. $51. Does that sound about right? 55 minutes. Ooh. Let me just try this.
Is a hill an elevation change or not?
What's blocking the bottom of the oil rig there?
Not a hill of water. So
yeah, actually, that's exactly what it is.
Give me 1 second.
Couple months ago now, on one of his streams.
Scott. Was that the one? Did it start off with Scott and then turn to a different guy? Oh.
A sort of being with horns and
Yeah.
Someone
Yeah,
who's living.
That's right.
Someone who's living in a.
That's what happens. The moment you are
loud, or do you want me to just DM Jedi?
Oh, there you go. That's the one. Okay. I found it. 51 minutes. Do you want to go over this? Or has anybody got any Christmas stuff they want to get out going at first? Before we anybody anything new happen this Christmas? Nobody's going to attempt the family stories about triggering family or anything like that. Go over it. There's always got to be somebody in the chat, hasn't there, who mentions the flat earthers. Anybody got anything? No? Okay, now this is a conversation from over at the Politics Survey. It's 50 odd minutes. If anybody wants to mention anything, speak up or whatever. But you all right for that? Do you want to check it out? Right, here we go. Can you guys hear it in Discord?
A sort of being with horns and red horns and a fork.
I can hear you talking.
It's an actual cult, and it's been going many years.
Pardon?
I can only hear you talking.
Can you? Are you tuned into the live stream on Discord?
I am now.
Okay. Here we go.
And they know how the brain works.
You hear that?
I can hear it.
Detail.
Okay.
And they know how to brainwash people and condition the minds at different levels. And like Bev said, eventually you don't know you've been.
How do you know that you're not conditioned?
Mm-hmm.
Well, I probably have been at some point.
You have people around you to keep checking you, don't you? Keep challenging you. You make sure that you are still open to those challenges and the discussions involving it.
I don't know. I've seen a lot of delusional people who will have arguments but never change their mind.
But really, I don't think they're arguments. I think that's where you might be missing it. They're not structured arguments. They're what you call arguments, but they're not really arguments.
What is an argument?
Part of the illusion. An argument.
I think there's a lot of things we get mixed up here with the word debate. This isn't a debate. We're not in a debate.
No.
Here. And I think an argument doesn't really have to have any structure. You can just fucking say what you want and shout. No, you can shout and fucking say what you want.
Yeah. The
I've had
modern
enough arguments from my
it's been changed.
Yeah.
It's been turned into a shouting session. But that's not actually what an argument is. You'll never come to a conclusion by shouting at each other. But an argument is meant for you to come to a conclusion. Sort of like the scientific process. There's a purpose behind it. A true argument.
Well, can you have a word with my missus about that?
Yeah. No. The simple answer to that is no.
So, I mean, some arguments can just be very persuasive. They don't have to be right. This is what we now know, right?
If you're just dictating to somebody by whatever means you want to try and do that. I mean, but that's not an argument.
What do you do what do you do when you're pointing out to somebody that horizontal is level? And you can show that and you can explain it.
Yeah, you can prove it.
Yeah, you can prove it. But then the other person that you're trying to show this to,
I've proved it to myself. I don't know whether you can.
No, but what I'm saying is, so you get to that point where you explain to somebody that horizontal is level, and you can demonstrate it and prove it. But they cannot see it for some reason, or if they can't see it, or they're not accepting it, or they're not believing you. They're not taking this on board.
Yeah.
But, so you start getting. I find it difficult to understand why somebody is not seeing this, what I'm seeing, and I can demonstrate, and is the truth.
Yeah.
It's called the bridge of asses. It's hard when I see
But it's,
some
it's like a
people,
logic leap bridge of asses, isn't it? Where logic is on the other side. They just can't get
it's
there.
just when people reason something into being the case, that's fine. But I think a lot of people are under the impression that a position means that you're critical, right? I guarantee, if I asked one deck to show me the proof for why a horizontal is level, he wouldn't be able to do it because he was told that he doesn't know why it's the case.
Well, then proof is just a word that people throw about, right? It has no meaning. And that's because the logical structure has been lost. Which is what I say. I think it's a societal thing. It's been educated. Well, you've been used to get educated with this stuff, but now, obviously, there is no logic education. It's even been turned into like a computer thing. So they've changed the term, if you will. People don't deem of it of any use when really that's what everybody has to use to reason anything.
Do you think you can reason into an incorrect position and be quite a good critical thinker?
Absolutely not, right? How would you possibly do that?
You ever debated politics before?
The only way, well, that's politics. That's not something that can incorrect position.
Philosophy.
You think you can debate philosophy?
I sure do think you can.
Okay, that's interesting.
Do you
could you express
like if I was gonna...
a philosophy? Like, could you express your philosophy?
Well, you could.
In order for you to be able to debate that position and
but
make
then you
an
would,
argument.
But then, exactly, you would make the claims, put them on the table. Like, for instance, if I thought maybe I was a fan of free will or whatever, right? I would put the argument on the table, and someone would
give us an
argue
example,
with the penalties.
right? It's dead easy to just say it. Give us an example of an argument that you would put on the table.
What, a philosophical argument?
Just any argument. Like, if you were going to go into a debate, rather than just saying you would present the argument, actually present the argument.
Okay.
Just, you want.
So if I was going to say
horizontal level,
all neurological states are biological states, all biological states are chemical states, and all chemical states are physical states, and all physical states are deterministic, then there's no free will. That would be an argument.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
How do you know?
Well, that's a premise for an argument.
Chemistry to free will.
Thank. Well, that did you follow the premise?
Yeah, I was watching the chain. Right, you went through all of those things to end up at there's no free will.
So if everything is
that's not where we were going here. We're talking about you trying to present an argument for making the case that you could debate like a philosophy or that sort of stuff.
That is
when you came up with when you came up with that argument, did you had were you forced to came up with that argument, or did you have the free will to come up with that argument?
Well, it would have been deterministic based on the premises, right? But
so you were forced
the
to
idea,
come up
the idea.
Argument.
Well done, that man. Yes, you came up with that argument by free will, or.
Well, it would have been determined. It would have been determined.
According to him, it would be forced, right? And if it would be forced, I would wish to know how that works with you, because in my paradigm where I live, I can freely choose to do things.
Well, that's not an argument. Actually an ape or Emma, isn't it? Really, humanity has just found something that's been lost for centuries, right?
It's just not an argument.
How are you self-refuting statement? It's not an argument. Well done.
I just said that it was determined. You're saying it's self-refuting.
Yes.
So how is it self-refuting?
Because you had the free will to make that argument, like your man's just said.
Just an
but your argument said that there was no free will.
That's
stated
just
as
an
a
assertion.
conclusion.
You're
Therefore,
not
it
arguing
is a
with the premises. You're
self-refuting
just saying it is so.
argument that leaves you in aporia, an aporema.
That's a just so story. You need to argue with the premises.
Come on,
Do
guys.
you disagree with any of them?
Stop arguing, please.
I'm not arguing. We've just stated you've got a self-refuting claim.
How is it self-refuting?
There's no more argument. We've just said.
You just said, but you do have free will. You're not arguing with anything I've said.
Yeah, no.
Why it's problematic.
Your argument that you made stated as the conclusion that you do not have free will. There's no free will. Yet, you had the free will to make that argument yourself.
How do you know? Like, if I'm saying that was predetermined based on all of those premises, you're just saying, well, no, but you do have free will.
It's a broken
That's all
mind.
you're saying.
This is how you get here. Like, this is how you your man here was just saying, how do you deny something? And you're showing us now how this is exactly how you deny it.
You're so dense. If I say,
don't just call me dense. It's not going to work, is it?
If I say all neurological states are biological states, and I go down that chain of logic again, then me thinking of that argument, coming up with it, was predetermined based on the premises. You're just saying, but no, you do have free will. You're not engaging with the argument. You're just saying, no, it's stupid because you do have free will. That's not an argument.
Okay, listen. My argument is that you had the free will to choose so. And what do we do now? Because this is going to be
That's not an argument. It's a claim. What is free will?
Prove me wrong.
Prove me wrong. What's free will? Tell me that.
You're not going to answer my question, but instead ask another question.
You said prove. You made a claim and then said prove me wrong. The burden, my friend, is on you. What's free will?
No, prove me
What's
wrong.
free will?
You need to prove to me that you didn't do that you were forced to do the argument you just did.
I just gave you a step-by-step, premise-by-premise argument for why it was determined.
That's not
right?
proving anything. That's just
you now need to tell
assumptions.
me what you think free will is, so I know what I'm arguing against. Because you obviously have some different sense of free will than I do.
Listen.
Your ability to ask the question was your free will.
It's just a claim. You do have free will, okay?
You said it was. You said you had free will to do it.
Forced to be here. Listen to what he's saying.
The problem is that if it's determined, you need to go and find out who's pulling your strings and have a word with them.
He already knows that.
It's not our
He's
problem.
making this point. He's just letting us
Yeah,
know.
well,
I don't think you really.
That's Dewey's problem.
So,
Dewey,
that's
your problem, man.
Is there anything in this universe that doesn't follow a chain of causation? Can you name something? Anyone?
I don't know. I think you need to sort out your free will problem.
I don't know. Jesus Christ.
It's Dewey. You know Dewey.
I think he sounds like Nick.
I think he's here. He's here trying to confess that he's got somebody pulling his strings.
You always talk about your critical
determining his free will.
Rational. And I've been waiting for like 5 minutes for a fucking argument.
You're a sophist. You are a sophist. You've already told us you have no proof.
All you're doing is talking about
you
me.
have no proof.
Talking about me here, Bear. You're the
just
sophist here.
fun.
It's all determined already. He knows what's going to happen. It's like
Is he getting angry?
You told us already.
He knows what's going to happen. He will.
You're not to be trusted, Dewey. You're not to be trusted. That's it.
Me of it. You haven't laid an argument. No. You're just talking about me. That's
we discussed it with you before. You said you have no proof. You said you lie, and you said you're only for fun. Well, to use up somebody else's
here
time.
To talk about me. You're a sophist. Yeah. Okay. Anyway,
people's heads up. I told you before. You're just here trying to mess with people's minds. Go away.
Yeah, that's what I tried to do. Look, your voice is quivering again. Anyway, so all I've heard so far is that I don't have an argument other than it must be free will, and that's all you got.
What are we talking about?
He's talking about how he's controlled.
You still haven't given any fundamental proof of the ones pulling your strings, dude. Show us how.
I gave you an argument.
No. Yeah, an argument, but how should I believe that it's true? Everybody can do that. I can say fairy dust that it falls into my room that I'm breathing in is making me superhuman.
So do you think there's... All right, let me test the floor then. Do you what if you didn't have free will
It's not
So if you
going
didn't
to
have,
prove
if
it,
it
right?
wasn't
It's just
determined,
gonna make up
if it wasn't determined,
hypotheticals.
would it be random? Would it be random, maybe? Because I don't think random gives you free will either. So I want to know what you think free
Are
will
you
is.
being
So I
forced
know how you
not to
arrive there.
answer questions right now?
I'm answering your question. So you're either
Yes,
determined.
yes,
It could be
is.
random. It could be randomness.
I'm
But
doing it.
randomness, a thought popping into your
Stopping him
head,
from.
isn't free will, right?
You
How
can't
does it
employ
feel like being
logic. I've stopped him
confused?
from doing that too.
So if randomness doesn't give you free will, and obviously determinism doesn't, what do you think free will is?
How does
'Cause
it
I
feel
think
like being confused?
I think it's stupid, right? So you want to give me an argument what you think free
Yeah,
will
I
is?
can tell
Ask your
that for
boss.
sure, man.
Ask your boss what free will is. Ask him if he's got it, if somebody's determining his free will.
You're not.
Try and
You
get
just
to the
can't
root of
argue.
who's in
These are the-
charge of, who's in control.
Yeah.
You're always the ones that call other
Of
people in
you.
office.
Who's
You're
in
always-
control of you?
You always
That's what
say
you want to be
that you're in
doing.
this office. You can't give an argument. You're just.
We don't
talking
have
at
a
me
common
more.
controller, do we? Do we?
You can't even. You.
Is this a
Bev,
religious
you,
thing?
Erdebear, and you, Clay.
Yeah.
One of you.
Is
Tell me what you think free
is
will
he
is.
talking
Tell
about
me what you
his
think free will is.
deity here?
I don't.
What do you think free will
Maybe
is?
it's
Yeah, I haven't got a
demons.
control.
You don't know. You can't answer.
Maybe it's demons
Yeah,
that are controlling him.
it's the
Yeah.
ability to tell you that you're a sophist. That's
You're
the
doing
free will,
sophist.
and to tell you that you obviously have somebody determining your free will, which I wouldn't have in my life. But
Yeah.
you like
No, but
masters, you
no,
like
well,
daddies.
It's worse than
it
that. It's
depends.
determining that he can't have free will, right? That's what he's arguing
Yeah.
for.
What
here.
Yeah,
do
yeah.
you think free
You
will
can have free
is?
will.
That may sound
You can
like
have
an
free will.
What a
anti-sort of
mess.
thing, right?
You-
It's like
It's
literally.
so bad. how
Sound,
you're
is it a
doing
religious
sophistry.
thing? Is this a
Sounds
religious
religious
thing?
to me.
Demonic.
Because I
And
don't,
I
I
can't
don't want to
give
be
you
going
demonic
after
You
people's
still won't
religions,
answer
right?
what
We'll
you think
keep it
free
within
will
the
is. You
argument.
still won't answer what you think free will is. You still won't
Should we
answer.
cut?
Demonic
Should we cut to the
possession
chase
could
and
be,
blame God
Any
and
of
be done with it?
any of you.
I'd
just
say
think
that
Let's blame God
some
and be done with
gods
it, shall we?
hand out free will to their people,
What
but
is
you seem
free
to be
will?
under a
What
different
is it?
governance. I don't know.
I don't care where it came from. What is it?
Well, but how can we find out? We haven't got one to trace it back.
You don't
Hang on a
know.
minute.
So why are you
Hang on a minute.
arguing?
Because I've got free will. I haven't got anybody to answer to.
You're being
Certainly
a
not you.
sophist and irrational.
Now, I'm following your logical argument. Your free will is determined by someone or something. Then
I
you need to
don't
go and find out
have
who that
free
is.
will. You tell me what you
Oh,
think
then
free will
that's your
is.
problem. Go and sort it out. I have free will. I don't need to
Oh,
describe
you
it. I
guys
know
are
I have.
some dense
Okay,
motherfuckers.
you go off and find.
You are some dense
Oh, I see.
motherfuckers.
Yeah.
projection.
It's
My
just
free will is
because
that
they don't
we have
play with your
projection
game.
issues.
Right, go Google
Yeah,
what
it's
free
free
will is and
will.
come back to me. Google what free will is and come back to me. Tell me what you believe you have.
Google
Because I don't
it.
think you know what you
The
believe you
great
have.
source
Is that
of
your
knowledge.
determiner?
Well, you clearly don't.
Is that the
You say
first?
you have it, but you don't know what it is. So go Google it.
Is that the
Find out
first
what you
person
believe
you
in.
go to see who's determining
Yeah.
it?
Do
Google.
I have free will? Ask Google. Go on. See. Go and see.
Yeah,
No, it's funny how you all sit here like going, haha, he's so stupid. I believe I have
No,
free
we've
will,
not
but I don't know
said
what
that.
it is. That's perfectly fine.
We didn't say that.
You
don't
don't
get on with
know.
it.
You pick that
You
up as an
don't
answer,
know
mate.
what
I
free
don't know.
will is. You can't say you have it if you don't know what it is.
Well, what are you doing? You don't know it either.
What do you mean I don't know what it is? I've been asking you for like.
Well, otherwise you would have worked it out and you'd know whether you had free will
He
or not.
knows
And then
he doesn't have it.
that's
Like,
it.
he does. He does
Yeah.
know that he doesn't have it.
He's found out.
Yeah, it's been told.
He
that.
found out he hasn't got
I
it.
think my argument hasn't actually been contended with. All
But
you said is
within
you do
his
have free will.
doctrine, I think.
No,
I
you're
know what
self-refuting.
free will
You
is.
have free will.
Maybe
I
he
know
has
what
it.
free will is.
But he might
You
just not
do.
use
I
it.
know.
Tis free will. Tis
But he might
free
just
will.
not want to
I know.
use it.
I
Tis
know.
free will.
I know what free will is.
Oh,
free will.
You know why I know what free will is? Pretty simple.
Free will.
So there's two options. I can further on entertain a conversation with a confused person, or I can just leave the conversation with a confused person. You know
Yeah,
what
tell
I'm
me what
gonna
free will
choose? You know
gonna run
what
away?
I'm gonna choose through my will? Pretty
Run
simple. I'm
away.
gonna leave the conversation with the confused person.
Run away, yeah.
That's
See
free
how
will.
he's using his determining tactics to try and keep you away from your free will.
It was.
You know, he says,
it was
"Run
predetermined. that
run
you would
away."
all be
It's
stupid,
like a
yeah.
way to try and taunt you just to keep control of you. That's
It
the
was
way it works,
predetermined
determining
Exactly.
that you
people.
are
Exactly.
dead.
You're running
man.
away. You're running away.
You were never
Oh, you
going
poor
to
little
win.
boy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
You were never going to win.
Let's pull on your mummy
That was
trigger. Oh,
predetermined.
come on.
It was predetermined
yeah.
you would always
Well,
lose.
Meanwhile,
yeah, that's what you think. That's your.
there is people who think the horizon is
These are the
curved.
critical thinkers. These are the critical
Yeah,
thinkers,
we
guys.
did.
Just
We
remember.
learnt from you. We learnt from you, Dewey.
Yeah, well, good. Yeah, it was determined that you would.
Have
yeah.
you been
Yeah, we
taught that
did.
you can't have
Fast.
self-critical thought, right? Is that been taken away from you?
No, but
with your free
listen,
will?
Yeah, I don't think you have that.
guys,
You definitely don't have
this
that.
free-
No, I'm
listen,
saying
this free
you.
will- No, but this free will
Oh,
thing,
well,
man.
you-
So, listen, does your free will? Can you control your free will to tell yourself that horizontal is actually curved?
Yeah, to
Does that
gain
count?
knowledge.
What is free will?
He doesn't have free
What
will
is-
to gain knowledge of his own
What
accord.
is free
It has to
will?
be taught to
Well,
him.
Bev,
Everything
tell me
has
what
to
free
be
will is,
taken.
please.
Dewey,
Please tell me
just
what
think
free will
about
is,
it
Bev.
logically. If free will wouldn't exist, why is there people who actually take words for what they are, which means level or
Do any of
horizontal
you
is
know
indeed
what-
level and
You're just
horizontal?
saying.
Why are there people like you who would actually start such a conversation about free will that would never be started by us? The people who actually say that horizontal is horizontal, level is level. Why would
Well,
it
I
ever
was
happen
asked to
with
make-
people who are confused with words and
So,
would choose rather to
Clay,
believe
I'll
level
explain what
actually means
happened.
as in slightly curving around the globe,
Clay.
or would actually interrupt someone before actually listening out what he is trying to say?
I'll
That's
explain
just
what the
something what
argument
a
was.
confused person would
Because
do.
you're confused about what the argument was. I was
No, you're
asked to make
confused,
an
dude.
argument.
We're not confused.
I was asked
I
to
just
make
want
an
to see a
argument.
curved
You're wrong.
horizontal.
And I gave an argument,
You're
and
just
then they were
wrong,
like, "No,
man.
you do have free
You're
will."
wrong.
And
No,
then
we
You
rebutted.
said you didn't have
we
free will.
Tell me what
rebutted
it
your
was.
argument
You
by
didn't. You just said
pointing
you
out
do
a
have free will.
fallacy
Oh.
within the form.
What fallacy?
We
Name the
even
fallacy.
told you
A fallacy.
it's
Name the
called
fallacy.
an apoema. The reason it doesn't make
Okay.
sense is because it is a nonsense statement, a self-refuting statement. And now you've
What,
gone
can
on
you
to
demonstrate
show
that?
that
Can
the
you draw that
lemma
fallacy
that you've
for
placed
me?
there within
Where's the
that
nonsense
fallacy
statement?
leads you
Where's the
to
nonsense
show
statement?
that you haven't got any logic at all. You can't.
What's the nonsense statement? What's the nonsense statement?
We
That
explained
all
it.
neurological states are biological states. Is that a nonsense statement?
No.
The
Your
only way
statement
to put it
Are all-
right.
Are all biological states chemical states? Is that a nonsense statement?
The only way to put it right
Are
is
all
to go
chemical states physical states? Is that a
LGBTQS.
nonsense
Just add the
statement?
F on the end of the alphabet. F. Free will.
You don't
There you
know
go.
what a nonsense. You don't know.
And
what
now
the
that's
argument is.
real. Now F is on there. It's real. That means it's
You're just saying
validated
it's
now.
a fallacy and hoping
Yeah.
it lands. But most
LGBTQTFD, but some determination on there as well.
Yeah, I don't want to speak
Yeah.
to sophist over here. The better sophist.
Well, we're just listening to your argument. It's self-refuting,
You just started talking
and
about LGBT.
you just called out.
Like,
You
what's
just
that?
called
How is
out.
that relevant?
Spend your day going to look to see who your boss is and question them as whether they, whether you actually trust them.
It's not an argument.
See if you trust them.
You are a
and then ask.
sophist.
And then ask the one above that and see if you can get your way back to the source. And then you might find where your mind got broken.
So no argument. A bunch of stupid people who think they know it all. That's all it is.
We don't know it all,
So,
that's for sure.
Imagine trying to talk about something that is self-evident while not being able to actually provide any physical.
You don't even know what it
or
is. What is
obvious-
self-evident?
Yeah, see, he's lost it.
Obvious
Gotta play.
evidence
Yeah.
for a spinning, wobbling, tilted spaceball.
You
See, the only reason
It's
the
so
only reason why he's
stupid.
here, the only reason why he's here and making these debates go into nonsense is because he has literally nothing to say about the topic. He's just like any other glober. He tries to sound intellectual by bringing up this nonsense,
Yeah, but
but he
I
actually
would
has
not-
no
Listen,
value
guys,
to bring
guys,
forth to the
I
topic.
agree with
That's
you.
why this
This is how
topic
we-
is dangerous.
Listen, Bev, this is how
Yeah,
it started.
yeah.
Me and Bev was talking about people being brainwashed and controlled.
Mhm.
And I came out with, I can't sometimes understand when I explain that horizontal is horizontal and level is level. Somebody will say that it's curved.
Yeah, and
Well, I
their
might
minds
say,
just
how
leap into
does that
action.
measure the Earth's flat?
At
I know,
that
am I-
stage, I said,
am I
how
del-
do you know that you're not an NPC?
That's how
And he
you
said,
know you're
"Well, I
dealing
could
with
be."
a mental issue and not like an argument issue.
Exactly.
I mean, have I got?
Bev,
you
should
have I
write
got
that
this
one
wrong?
down and remember it because that definitely
Yeah.
applies to you.
Got to let
Right,
you
Dewey, how do you know that you're
Tighten
not
the
let
straight
you
jacket,
defend
man.
himself, gentlemen. Let Yui defend himself. We've been snipping at him for ages. Yui, defend yourself, man.
I was just saying that at some stage, after asking, how do you know you're not an NPC, Bev and I started talking about what an argument is. And he said, and I said, you can argue philosophy. And he said, no, you can't. They're just statements. And then I was asked to make a philosophical argument, or just a argument in general. So I gave him one, and then we spent about 20 minutes where he said we have free will, 'tis free will, and then he didn't really tell me what it was, and that's where we are now.
Oh, he said he got free will. He didn't prove any of that. You said you hadn't got free will.
Can I ask a question real quick? How does a mental ill person ever understand that he's mentally ill?
Ask yourself that. Look in the mirror.
Define
I'm
mentally.
asking you.
Define mentally
Well,
ill.
I can't cure you, Clay.
You need good friends.
Someone who is living.
with you.
Someone
Yeah,
who's living.
That's right.
Someone who is living in confusion. Someone who is obviously seeing things completely the opposite, right? When he observes reality.
Sounds like you.
Normal people.
No,
The thing is,
I observe
the thing is,
11
Dewey.
horizontal horizons. You observe something else and
Yeah,
slightly
but
curving around
listen,
the board.
the globe model isn't reality, is it?
He
It's a model.
observes anything different.
The globe model isn't reality. So once you're believing in that model, you've come out of that.
Globe.
Yeah, you've come out of the reality at that point.
Into another model.
You know, you've gone into another realm, really, a globe realm.
It's no different.
Okay, so
There's only one reality.
So the mentally ill and the normal, the mentally ill and the normal or the mentally stable person, they both stand on the beach shore. The mentally ill person will tell you it just looks horizontal, but actually I know that I'm living on a board. The mentally stable person will say, yeah, it is horizontal because
Clay.
that's what you're gonna see everywhere.
Yeah, okay. Now put that in a Discord server and go round and round and round in circles for years. Where's it going to get you?
Yeah, I disagree with that statement.
Clay, would the mentally stable person say, when you look at the moon, even though it looks solid, it isn't solid?
Always to the lights in the sky.
The thing is, Dewey, we had a discussion a while back, and you said you had no proof. You said you lie, and you said you come here just for your entertainment. That's all that I told you. That you're dead to me in that sense. Okay, might have a few words for you. I don't engage with you. I don't engage with you on any depth at all because you're just here playing. All right, and that just informed me about who you are. Same as Lunatic, he said that he'd studied psychological warfare. So I figure, well, he knows more than he's saying. He's playing some games here, quite possibly, and it just informs me. All right, just gives me a little note, and you've already been given yours, Dewey. Doesn't matter what you say. I know
I don't tend to
who you are.
attach how I feel about someone to an argument. So I don't hate you, Bear. I think you're just crying too much.
I don't hate you either. That would be waste of energy. But I just put you in the place where, in my mind, where you'll need to be. That's fine.
We'll be best friends one day.
We can go back to the going round and round in circles with the argument.
I was just asking him, if you look at the moon, does it look solid to you, Clay?
Why do you need to look at the moon?
Does it? Yes or no? Because you're saying mentally ill people see things, but then believe it's not that.
Yeah, if you were to make a statement
does it look
about...
solid?
Yeah.
Would you be mentally ill for saying we don't know it's solid?
No.
Oh, that seems like incongruent with what you said about horizons.
A rational person would say that there's something up in the sky, and it's glowing, and it sometimes changes phases. Which, have you ever seen a solid object changing its shapes?
I don't think you can. I don't think you can.
Everyone has.
I know, but I don't think you can compare it with the horizon.
No, you can't. This is why I was going to jump in. Why is the moon being compared to the horizon?
Well, not in the sense that I think Jedi's thinking. I'm saying that there are some things in this world where I believe you can look at something and it not necessarily be what you immediately observe it to be. And that's why further investigation is required. It doesn't make you mentally ill because you suggest maybe it's not exactly what I'm observing.
Yeah, but this is part of the argument. When we look out at the horizontal horizon, we can see it's horizontal. Yeah. On the other hand, we're told that that's the physical Earth curve. Now, if we're wrong in saying it's horizontal, then surely somebody's proved that it's not horizontal and it's actually curved. Has anybody done that?
It's as sensical as saying surely someone's proved.
I'll force him to
definitely
not
horizontal.
answer that question, right? What's this? Don't answer that question.
Yes, he's
Well,
being
I don't know.
forced.
I don't know the
forget that.
history of when someone proves something.
Poor guy is being
It's not
forced to be here.
not a pub quiz over here.
He doesn't have a proof of his own, right? He's got nothing tangible to hold in that place where you
Maybe
place
being
proofs.
forced.
I don't have
Forced
proof,
to be in the flat Earth Discord.
But I'm not the one asserting that it is something by way of knowledge.
But you don't even know what you're looking for.
Definitely is
Right?
flat.
You've got not even an idea what a proof could
You're
possibly
saying
even
it
look
definitely-
like.
But I'm not asserting
Not even
I do.
smell it. You
You're
don't even have
saying
a clue.
You're saying it definitely is horizontal. That is a knowledge claim.
No, I'm just making a statement that you do not have a proof. Therefore, you don't even know what you're looking for. So, if anybody else here knows that they
doesn't
do
follow.
actually have a proof, this man has not got a clue about that. So how do you
So if you
engage
don't
with
have
them?
So if you don't have a
He's
proof,
only
you
here for his
can't
own
critique.
entertainment, after all. I mean, he doesn't need to
That's true.
pretend
So,
he's
Bev,
even
if you
got a
his
proof.
own
He could just
entertainment.
sort
I mean,
of
he's being.
sophists.
How can
if
it
you
be
don't
his
have a-
own entertainment when he is forced?
Oh
Yeah,
my
Someone
lord!
else's
If you don't have a,
entertainment,
if
maybe
you-
demons
yeah,
or something.
Yeah, it must
You're
be.
always
It's
attacking
nothing
my-
like you could
Look,
ever go. Like you
I'm-
can't even comprehend it,
Yeah.
right? Because you might have
Dewey,
a
do
proof.
you have
Just
demons?
keep attacking me. Just keep attacking
Nobody's
me
attacking
and
you.
not engage with an argument.
Let
Not
him
engage
defend
with an
himself.
argument. That's all you do. I mean, like if I was going to say to you, Bev, right? I think you can critique someone else's proof without having a proof of your own. You would think that's stupid. That's because you don't have two IQ points to rub together. Clay, you're taking pop shots at me, but all you do is say, "But the Bible," right? You don't actually have an argument. You've never put an argument down, so you can't
I
attack me
think
either.
you have some kind of demons because never
That
have I
was well
said anything
structured,
about the
well done.
Bible.
Use your time wisely there from Jedi. I see.
Yeah, you have.
It's very
critique
weird.
that.
He hears
Why-
things
why do you
that,
think-
that I have never
why
said.
do
Isn't
you
that
think-
interesting?
What the Bible? Why do you think?
Look
why
at
do you
this,
think
man. It's
that-
demons, man. I told you.
let
He's
me-
being controlled
All right, Bev,
by
why do
demonic
you
entities. That's
why
why
do
he
you
needs to
think
attack the
you
Bible
can't
now. That was
critique
not
someone
even
else's
mentioned
proof?
once in the whole
Demons
conversation.
in the Bible, Clay. Let him talk. Let him get it
Why
out.
do you think you
Well,
can't
demons
critique
get
someone
angry about
else's?
the Bible.
Why do you
I
think
know,
you
I-
can't critique someone else's proof, Bev, if you don't have proof yourself? What's the argument?
I think there must be a great controller, right? You know, maybe not like a deity as you guys imagine it, but at the top there is a great controller, one that lays down the law. The big shadow giant, right? Like some monad or something.
Wizard God.
How about that?
That has nothing to do with what I asked you.
Well, you don't know what proof is, do you? Just like you don't understand what the monad is, the concept of it.
What is proof?
How about this? The all-encompassing point at the center of everything. Imagine that.
Do you think there's no?
That's
Can
the
you give me a
monad for
non-
you. And it
Do you have any
controls your mind.
non-mathematical-
You haven't got a clue because it's such nonsense.
Do you have any non-mathematical proofs you can give me?
Yeah.
Logical proofs. Or would you call logic a form of mathematics? I would.
I
mean,
can
give me a logical
a non-mathematical proof.
Really?
Did you say logical or mathematical? Sorry. Correct that.
I want
Say
something a bit more.
mathematical.
I want something a bit more concrete though than the law of non-contradiction. I want something a bit more substantive.
What, as an argument?
Yes.
I mean, you can demonstrate and show that water always seeks and finds level. That's not mathematical.
I
you
can
have a
add
proof,
heat. I can add heat to water, make it boil. It's not mathematical.
I would say that's inductive.
You can show that gas pressure does
Not
require
deductive.
containment. Gas
That's
pressure does
deductive.
require
Yeah, I'd say
I think it was
containment, and
absolutely a
that's not
statement of
mathematically,
deductive reasoning, what Jedi just said, not inductive.
Yeah,
yes,
Britnat, we've had this conversation before. You
Wow.
said it's deductive. Seriously.
He hasn't got a clue what a
So-
proof is, so it's obvious he
So
doesn't
I would
understand
say-
deductive reasoning.
I would
just
say
had
if
No,
you're
no
gonna
concept of proof.
If you're going to say, for instance, all water boils at X temperature,
He
right?
didn't say that.
There could be some unknown condition
It gets warm.
that we haven't accounted for.
Oh,
So
God.
I would say that when you get the set of evidence together, you're using it to support the conclusion. You're not using it as proof of the conclusion.
No, I've boiled water with heat.
Is this guy in denial or something?
Well, I'm accepting the conclusion. I agree with it. It's just that I don't think it's a deductive conclusion.
What about
But
gas
you don't
pressure?
think that you sorry,
What
you
about
don't
gas
think you can
pressure?
deduce cause and effect. You don't think that you can deduce cause and effect relationships in the physical and natural world.
Well, I think the laws of thermodynamics are definitely inductive.
They're not the same about
Imagine
what I'm
that.
talking about.
Imagine
I've demonstrated.
Imagine axiomating there being no parallel lines.
I didn't even talk about parallel lines.
Yeah, I know, but this is the consequence of that sort of mind. That's what happens. The moment you allow a contradiction into your logical system, then you're exploding that logic. The result is a wrecked mind, broken.
Well, I don't know, because I once had a conversation with you, Bev, where I talked about the principle of explosion, and you laughed at it because you thought, that's stupid, that doesn't exist. And then 5 minutes later, you were like, okay, yeah, fair enough, it exists.
No.
You're not
we
logical,
were
bro. You're not as
laughing
logical
at
as
it
your
because
briefing.
you had the nerve to tell us about the principle of explosion whilst you have an exploded mind.
And
You
he
don't
only
know-
knows about the principle of explosion because I've told him that he has an exploded mind and detailed the principle of explosion to him to, underscore that I'm actually serious about what I'm
when you
saying.
have the densest motherfuckers talking about, like, oh, I'm logical, I
Is that
only
an
use
ad-hom?
logic.
Just a
Yes, it is.
like an insult. Like, make your mind up.
Power of argument.
But it didn't. Well, unless he's going to point out the verification of his claim that we've demonstrated his claim to be true, that we are demonstrable idiots.
I don't think you're stupid, Jedi. I think Bev and Saraguki and Erdogan are.
Yeah, it's because we don't have the power to mute you. That's what it is.
The guy who
Well,
can't read the
I got
nickname
banned
off
from
of a
your server.
Discord
I got
screen
banned
and
from
read
your
it out
Not
properly.
part of
Calling
our
people
team.
stupid.
Not caring about that.
Nah.
And I got banned from your server, so I don't think it's the mute thing that's here.
He's a liar. He didn't get banned from anywhere.
Well, I think Mr. Fusili Jerry can clarify.
Oh, from this server, maybe. I don't know. If you got banned
No,
from
from
here,
your
that
server.
makes sense.
Clarify what?
That I got was it banned or kicked from their server?
Not banned, which is
Web
what
server?
you said, which is why I spoke up to
What,
call you a
Mod
liar
Powers?
because you didn't get banned.
You're saying Mod Powers are why I'm being nice to Jedi, but I clearly didn't care about them when I was talking to you, did I?
So was that banned or kicked? Do you want to make your mind up?
It's still a mod action. We'll call it mod action.
Not banned. We'll call it not banned.
I've not tried to rejoin, so I wouldn't know.
No, it was fine to say banned as if he knew, but then when it pointed out that that's a lie, he's not banned. He just
some
admitted
people
that he
use
hasn't
banned
even
and
checked.
kicked
He doesn't actually
interchangeably.
know. He just
Some people use banned and
baselessly
kicked
claimed that he was
interchangeably.
banned.
Some
Now he's
people
just
use
talking
banned.
all over me to get away from, you hearing the fact
Yeah.
that he's a lying
Banned,
sophist.
kicked. Does it matter? The point is that it was a mod action. I mean, Saraguki, all you talked about is me as well. Like, you and Erdogan really are just like Bev's little lackeys, aren't you?
Not working out too well for you today, Dewey.
Yeah. No arguments only. Yes, Bev, I will suck your cock.
That's
you know
crazy.
what I would actually want to know? What happens if he would just agree simultaneously to everything that Dewey says? What would he do if we just keep on agreeing
to be
with
fair,
him?
you guys are all being nice.
Would he ever come back? Would he ever have his enjoyment if we would just all agree to what he says? I agree, Dewey. You're 100% right. You're right, man.
Bev,
exactly.
I know that you're all being nicey nice here, but I know you were talking about Jedi and others in that server and saying some horrible things about them. So,
which server?
In their server.
Doing?
What? Yeah, come on. Where's your recording?
Yeah, go on.
Recording.
Yeah.
Well, if I DM Jedi what you said, he'd know that I was being truthful.
Is that? I think there was a 6-hour conversation. That one.
This is what demons
I'll put that one out.
Right?
When do you want us to put it out?
Yeah,
and we'll show you.
If they have nothing to say, they're just gonna try to spread hate.
Cut to the part where one
I called it the sophists' playground.
Yeah,
it'll be coming out soon.
I'll cut to the part where you start talking about Jedi. When I first joined.
Let's just give the liar a clap and say, yeah, you're right, Dewey. You're 100% right. You're always right. Yeah, you're right, man. You're right. You're 100% right. You have anything else to say about you being right?
You're just defending them because you're a little baby cuck.
Yeah, you're 100% right.
He's got some solid arguments, hasn't he? You've got to give that to him.
Just always right.
Get more solid as the day goes by.
So, Bev, do you want me to say what you were saying out loud, or do you want me to just DM Jedi?
You can, go off you go. Like I say, it's on video. Like I'll be putting it out.
Yeah. So Bev and his friends Jedi were saying that. I don't know if you actually want me to say out loud, Jedi. Do you want me to DM you?
Come on, say it loud.
I really don't care. My friend.
Make sure it's not.
I don't know. They're spreading it around.
I'm definitely not interested what other people in the flat Earth community have said about me, mate. Seriously, it's probably nothing that I haven't heard before, so I'm not really that bothered.
Yeah, it's not really on the form of the argument, is it? I mean, is this an attempt for you to remove yourself from an argument, or
it's an attempt to say
providing
when Saragaki. It's an attempt to say when Saragaki was saying, "Oh, you're being nice to Jedi because you don't want him to mute you." I'm more curious about why you're all buddying up when you say horrible things about him. So it's
listen.
Can you tell me what he said? I want to hear what's horrible.
Just kick the.
You know what I think is horrible? Someone who is obviously trying to create division and confusion. And makes it, and that's very demonic. That's very weird. People like you I have met a lot in my years, and they're just always there to make people feel bad and try to separate people and so forth.
You're acting like I'm lying, right? So if I say to you that
then just say what they said, man. I haven't heard anything yet. I want to hear.
Right, yeah, Bev and his friends have been going around saying that Jedi's been he had some trouble, right, where he was tricking girls into giving him money and scamming them, and then they were saying, "Oh, we've got loads of people who know about this," and Jedi had to disappear for a while because he'd been doing this sort of scamming sort of thing with women, and they've been spreading it around to people who barely even knew anything about it. I think that's a pretty shitty thing to do, especially when I kind of went, I don't think I want to put myself into it, but they were saying, "But you're still friends with him, you still like him," right? That's a weird thing to do to someone who's friends with Jedi.
Be gone, demon.
So I wasn't lying.
Always.
It's a really good argument, bro.
I'm
starting to think that it's a globe, right? I mean, that's a really good argument for a globe.
Tis globe. Preach it.
What should happen now to you? What should happen according to you, man?
What, me? I just think that they shouldn't be two-faced.
But didn't you say they're stupid?
Are they
doing
that in this venue? Britt, are they doing that in this venue? Okay, then leave it. Then leave it. Then leave it.
Okay.
Drop it there. Let's go back to the globe.
Anything you say?
Yeah, it's a dirty globe scam. How about that?
Maybe we just need to agree for like 3 days with Dewey and then he never comes back. Hopefully that.
I haven't been on
that's
for a
what we
while.
just need to do. Yeah, but what would happen if we would just all agree on everything you said? Would then your whole scheme of entertainment be destroyed?
Possibly, yeah, it could be true.
Yeah. So who's the one with the delusions again?
The issue isn't
You
that
get
the arguments-
enjoyment out of this, man.
No, I
Out
don't
of
get
being a
enjoyment.
contrarian.
I don't get enjoyment out of the flat Earth thing in and of itself. Like I think there are some people who are very intelligent. Obviously, they know if I think they are or not. There are some people who just sit in the background and say they're intelligent, say they're critical thinkers, and when it comes to actually putting down an argument, it sounds like they're just telling me what someone else has told them, and because they think they're intelligent and critical thinkers, they're funny to mock, right?
20 minutes ago, you just said we're all stupid. Like, you can't be even consistent.
When I say
with
all,
your
I was talking about you, obviously, Bev, Saragaki.
Yeah, sure. Then be more consistent and precise, okay? Be more concise next time.
Well, no one else is talking. Why would I call the why would I call fucking Jerry or Tyler or Thrillster stupid when they weren't even saying anything?
But you said you're just all stupid, so be more precise next time.
Yeah, when you were talking about free will, you will demonstrate yourself to be stupid.
It's letting the audience know that if you ever speak up, people like him will be willing to come in here and just call you stupid just for speaking.
I'm more than willing.
Yeah. I mean, that's honesty for you.
It's only okay.
If
it's
you
only okay when he's got somebody he considers weaker than him. And then he thinks he's got some prowess of kind of mind, but you just demonstrated that you just lost it.
If you go around,
you just lost control, Yuri. You just lost control. Okay.
If you go around saying you're really intelligent, then yeah,
that's the weak part. That's the weakest part. The bit where you lost control.
What, when someone goes around saying they're intelligent and they're clearly not?
No, the part where you just lost control.
I don't know what you're saying.
Yeah, the one where you have to bitch a bit.
You
to try
bitch.
And, just to try and get back at somebody. That childish thing within you.
Don't go around talking about people. Then
the bit where that comes from.
Just be quiet.
The bit from your childhood. That
Heretic
bit.
said don't talk about it. Just be quiet.
Yeah, I'm just pointing to you about your childhood.
Yeah, just be quiet. Your voice is quivering. You're nervous.
Yeah, I'm an emotional guy. So what? I told you that. I don't give a shit about what you think about me.
I think he thinks that's a weakness, being emotional.
Yeah, he does. He does. He's already said that.
You follow me everywhere. You obviously do.
No way.
You care
just
about
happen to be in the same place as you.
You care about me. It's fine.
I told you before, when the little child in you starts talking to you, listen.
All right, are you done now?
Sophist away.
So how do we know that the Earth is flat?
Bev, you can pick this one up.
Yeah, it's not flat, obviously. Just like you can conceive of it within your mind as being flat, but it's obviously not flat. No matter how much the new tagline is, it's measured flat. It's measured not flat. So it's going to make flat earthers look really stupid. But I guess you've got to do what you've got to do.
Looks pretty flat to me.
So you never have seen a hill or something, or topography in general?
Yep. Not flat.
I want to live in that world. Do you live in like what is it called? Do you know how you can make when you make a video game, you have like this empty box of endless plane? Is that where you live in?
I don't. I live on a coastal plain.
No, not you, man. I'm asking Vector.
There's hills, yeah, obviously, but it's...
So it's not flat.
No, like that, but like...
There you go. You've helped yourself. Well done.
Yeah.
We've
all
learned.
Good job, man.
Yeah.
You learned something today. Woohoo! It's not flat.
Well, it's not round, is what I meant to say.
Exactly. It's, well, I mean, round...
It's bumpy flat. It's very bumpy.
Bumpy
right?
flat.
Do you
Yeah.
imagine
Maybe
you
it's
could
a
have a
topographical
proof?
plane.
Like, I know you may not have one at the minute, but do you ever imagine yourself holding a proof of anything?
Holding.
Yeah,
like
yeah.
a little Earth.
Like just any sort
So I
of
can-
proof. Do you have a conception of what that might be?
Yeah, like if I saw a rocket go into space, but I never seen one.
So it'd be visual.
How can anyone see a rocket go to space?
I don't know.
I can see a car driving in a garage. Yeah, I can see a train passing me, but I can't even see where the train is going if I'm not inside of the train.
I mean, like just taking off, you know. I never
So
seen
how
one.
was there
I think it's all
anybody in the
CGI.
world ever who has seen a rocket going into space?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so
Well, it's not answering my question.
You mean
I
you've
mean,
not? Have you never actually seen that?
Yeah, I never seen one.
Well, so you don't have the proof. You just say
Yeah.
like that would be how you envisage gaining a proof would be to actually see a rocket taking off.
Mm-hmm.
And what that would be a proof that rockets can take off.
Yeah,
Yeah. Well,
but they can't even do that, you know. Like, I think it's all fake, like CGI.
You don't think rockets can take off?
No.
no. Do you think you can jump like yourself?
What?
Yeah, I can jump.
Okay.
Have you ever seen fireworks?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a rocket taking off.
What if we build a big
No,
firework?
it's a firework.
Yeah,
Yeah,
what if
that's
it's,
a
but what if it's
rocket.
big though? What if the thirst is more? You know, what
What's
if
the
that's
difference
the case?
between
Yeah,
a
but it'd be
firework
too heavy.
and a rocket? What's
Well, I mean,
The size.
There's a big difference.
the
But
science?
I see your point though.
Size, like it's very small.
I mean, essentially, a rocket is just a stabilized firework. You could say, you know, you
Yeah,
could
but it
change
gets-
the directions and
a $1
degrees in which you fly it.
firework can take flight, but a $50 billion research department can't figure out how to make a big rocket take off. Yeah, because
How did
but
you
a
came to that
$1 firework can go off.
Yeah,
go
because
pretty
it's
high,
small.
but
It doesn't weigh too
how
much.
did you came to that
because it's
conclusion?
small.
Right, I'm gonna leave
This
you
is
guys.
small.
It's been good. Have fun with rockets. See you later.
Bye.
Later, bye.
Right. That, I don't know, it was a bit of a weird one, wasn't it? I think what you learn from those sort of conversations is that everybody's already knows all of the things that go on in this arena. And nobody's bothered. Just keep talking about the same old stuff. Somebody come in about rockets. People with no sense of proof, no idea what a proof is. Got teachers in the chat posting ridiculous statements. There's an arena about Earth shape and debate, and I don't know like what they're doing. Been in this arena for 5 or 6 years, and it gets more and more ridiculous. But now we've got to the point, right? There's no curvature to a water level. It establishes a horizontal plane of reference. We've proved that ages ago. So obviously, there's no curvature to a horizontal. But just recently, flat earthers have started mentioning that it's measured flat. Now, I don't know what that means. measured from a reference point, and the way you associate those points together in reality is a well-known method. Now, certain minds have to change that, and that's what I'm more interested in, is the not people who don't seem to be able to see what's right in front of their faces. And I don't feel bad at anybody, you know, like if you're one of those people, don't think it's bad, because this seems to be a taught thing that comes through the education system. The ability of people to not notice something that's right in front of their faces because of the way the mind processes problems. Similar to the way computers process logic. Similar sort of thing, based on a binary on-off, a yes or a no programming thing. But modern day times have this slightly weird idea that something can be different when you're not looking at it than what it is when you are looking at it. And people make these principles where you're not certain about anything, which I think that's modern day. Modern day leads us to this sort of place that we're all at. It's shocking. People know about all of the nasty little secrets within this arena, and that's why most people aren't around for very long. But the people that are still in this arena, they've been here for years. Flat Earth Math, the guy that claims to be a teacher, he claims to have been in it the longest. I think he was here at the beginning. He probably made it all up himself. The original, the OG Flat Earth mathematician. He claims he gave the name to Nathan Oakley for the debate. It's got a special mind. It's called, I think it's called diletheism, really. The ability to hold two truths at the same time. He imagines like the axioms of the elements is just for that book, but they're the elements. They deal with number, prime numbers. So I don't know what he's talking about. He's obviously, and he's not going to be the only one. We've got a professor that does the same thing, and you've got in this arena, you've got a guy who you've just listened to. He came round here. He listened to us, what we were talking about, and Emma expressed what her point was, coming from a woman's point of view from within this arena. Because if you're wondering why there aren't many, that was an obvious example that somebody lets somebody in to know what goes on in this arena. And the guy blatantly says it out loud to a room full of flat earthers where Jedi is the guy in charge, and they don't care. Because this arena isn't about bringing new people in. It's about pushing the same old narrative round and round from one side to the other. Well, what if it's a false dichotomy? What if both of them are just distractions from you finding out about reality, questioning reality?
I'd say that was a good bet, Bev.
Yeah. Saragaki post there. Geometry is the science which enables us to investigate the relations existing between parts of space, whether they be lines, surfaces, superficies, or solids. That's in reality. There's no one that's anywhere different. Geometry is the science of that. Yeah, Eric's posted it in the YouTube chat. A quote. These quotes, I mean, people do say this. So this is, can you change what geometry you physically exist in? No, you can't change that geometry, but you can certainly change which geometry you're talking about. Scholar Source. The chair of the mathematics department of university in Utah Valley, America. So you can't actually change the geometry, but you can just talk about something different. Just change the topic, move on, talk about something different.
In essence, is he saying you can make something up?
He's just saying, like, you can't change Euclidean geometry in the geometry you live in, but you can just talk about something else. Just draw a circle. I mean, come on. Imagine it. It's madness. Rather than actually talking about, we've been saying this over the last few months, there's topics that cannot be discussed. And they're never going to be talked about outside of this Discord on the level. They can't. They can attempt to. They can misconstrue stuff. They can talk about other things. But they're never going to be able to address the actual issue of proofs within reality. They'll talk about imaginings of other things for years. The one thing that they cannot discuss is reality. Which I think that's where we're different. We only want to talk about reality. Ever since we started with this ridiculous idea of somebody calling you a child abuser for teaching your child that level's horizontal. They all imagine it. They all say the same sort of thing. And they're not living in reality. They know that this level being horizontal destroys both. Well, it destroys the false dichotomy. Because you can prove both the flat earth and the dogmatic globe earth to be ridiculous. And you can prove it even more to be ridiculous by the fact that both of these sides will defend the ridiculousness of the rebuttal to either of the statements that they'll ever try and come up with. They've got no arguments either. Nathan Oakley's going around saying he can prove the Earth's flat, which is ridiculous. Because what he's trying to do is falsifying the argument that states that if you measure elevation changes, therefore the Earth's not flat. He's got to try and falsify that one as well as prove. That's Nathan Oakley. The other guys, they'll admit they've got nothing, no arguments, no proofs. but they refrain the right to criticize anybody else's proofs and say, that's not a proof. That's not an argument. And yet, they all know that there's real scamming going on in the background. Not this stuff that Nathan Oakley talks about. No, the more of the personal stuff. The stuff that, you know, makes people leave the arena. Keep quiet. Not want to speak up. Just walk away. There's some really bad stuff that goes on in these arenas, you know, from the names that you get called, the pushing away, the separation, being sent to Coventry, the name calling, the public name calling, public accusations of all sorts of stuff. I think Jose said it a bit ago, didn't he? He just said that they're just internet potatoes. They're just characters. The names, you know, these people that are around here. So, yeah, word of warning. If you do want to come into this arena, come in with, I don't know. Come in guarded. Make sure you know what you're talking about. Oh, thank you very much. Hey, Danger. Some members. Thank you very much. To everyone that's just gained a new membership. We have got a few of these conversations. I've put them all out there. I'll be doing some more coming the new year. So if you want to come in and get involved, come into the Discord. Most of the stuff will be voice acting and all of that, because we want to be scripting some stuff to do some argument stuff coming in the new year. Bit of a change. We've had enough of the association with the flat earth, to be honest. I think there's people out there that are giving flat earth a really bad name, and yeah, I quite like flat earthers. I quite like the conversations that go on, but it's been shown just recently that in most of the rooms that you ever get with any of these conversations, just filled with sophists, liars and scammers and stuff. So like, be wary of what you're doing, who you trust mainly, and what sort of conversations you put yourself into. Because I think there are people within this arena that are documenting the new faces, the new names that come into the arena. For what purpose? Not got a clue. But they like to point fingers and tag you with stuff. Whether they've got lists, whether they've got files. Well, we do know that they do have files on people. So you be aware that once you enter this arena, you will have a file with your name on it. And people will be trying to gather as much information to place within that file. And if they find anything that they can use to make you leave the arena, they'll probably use it. There'll probably be somebody out there wanting to use it.
Yeah, I mean, that can be quite a daunting prospect, because once you've even managed to cross the line of being voice activated and speaking and trying to work that new paradigm out and get past all there, you know, to then discover that, you know, you'll soon get your card marked if you say certain things or you don't follow the narrative.
I just came off a 2-day ban from 24/7 because I was told I must speak only about flat Earth and not about flat Earthers for 24 hours. And I asked, well, what authority do you have, knowing they had, mute powers? But I said, what authority do you have, and what will happen if I don't comply? And that was it. Don't see you in 2 days. So I was thrown out. So it's a very controlling environment. Yeah, but it kind of changed my feeling about what I might say in the future. I mean, it made me want to say be more more in your face in a way, rather than hold back, because it's like not necessarily a challenge. It's a bit like somebody trying to have power over you.
Yeah.
That you have to push through and challenge just within myself. That I haven't allowed that to happen. Even if it means being emotional or sometimes losing control in a sense, because these things happen. Yeah, it's a very strange environment, very strange. And what happened there, nobody blinked an eyelid, nothing was said. And I still hear, the rare times I hear women speak, they are put down and treated really badly. Shut up, bitch, that kind of stuff. And you think, wow, I know some guys get put down and when they're talking, but it's a whole different thing with women. Very different. Yeah, and maybe it's because it's a male environment and all the male stuff going on. But I can see that that women wouldn't be encouraged to speak. And sometimes, men tend to talk over women, and you don't hear enough of it to kind of, sometimes in these arenas you don't. So it's unusual to hear women speaking unless they are speaking from a script or keeping to a certain narrative. And it tends to be, the ones I've heard tend to be on the flat earth side. Don't really hear many. I don't think I've ever heard a woman arguing for the globe. Might be wrong, but that doesn't stand out to me, mate. But then on the other side of it is all these. Sorry, go on.
There
To that point.
There are some.
Yeah, no, I can't say I've heard. But the other point is to these, these mathematicians and people coming in. I'm really confused because they say that what they're teaching in schools is a lie, inverted commas. It's kind of like a little lie. It's not really an important lie somehow. The child's brain isn't developed enough to understand to be able to cope with the truth. So they teach the basics of geometry and the Euclidean base of that, even if they never mention Euclid and talk about angles having 180 degrees and horizontals and perpendiculars and parallels and and then at some point they're going to have to tell them, well, actually what we told you about that isn't true. And I just think, well, why are they still doing that? Why is the curriculum not changed if this is the fact, if this is true? And Scholar Source says the only lie, inverted commas, is the idea that there is nothing other than Euclidean geometry that we don't describe to kids in primary school because it's too complicated. Beyond that, even though neither the surface of the Earth nor the universe around us are exactly Euclidean everywhere, Euclidean geometry is an excellent approximation of those geometries in the environment everyone lives in. So it makes sense to teach it because it works well enough for practically everything a normal person will do. So yeah, we teach good approximations to reality to primary and secondary school students because it's useful and more easily understood. But we don't teach every nitpicky detail to them because it would be more complicated than the added value it would give a regular person. We do this with tons of things. We don't teach all of calculus to students either until later. The same with linear algebra, the same with regular algebra. Essentially, we follow the mantra that It is better to be occasionally imprecise but understandable than perfectly accurate and incomprehensible.
Wow.
That's the basis of the lie. It's okay because they're too stupid to understand. But if the truth is the truth, why can't they say, parallels are real to this point? And I posted, in the chat earlier, things from children's websites on the BBC that are concrete about this stuff, that they're coming here and arguing and saying they don't exist. That's not true. In this place, they don't exist. The parallel thing, it's not real. And yet, there are, government websites, maths departments that aren't saying anything about this other thing, this non-Euclidean stuff. And I find that really strange. That they, because if you never went to higher education and you only got as far as, the age when you can leave school, you only had a little bit of information, and that was it. You'd never know that that what you knew isn't real, apparently. And yet, you live your whole life by it. you can be sure that a straight line's a straight line, and there's no argument about that. But here are some guys who are really high up in academia who are saying that a straight line can be curved.
Yeah, they're
And
saying,
that a curved line and a straight line are the same thing.
Yeah, the square, the very understanding of like a 2 square would be 4. Right? The understanding of that, there's 4 units within that square of sides 2. Well, that square, they're saying, has nothing to do with the square. The moment you hear square, your mind goes to this shape. It's a square. But they've separated the mathematical function of a square from the square. Now, how do you do that? You do it with this bending of the line, don't you? The blurring of the parallels. All down to this one axiom within geometry that, forms the square, really. The right
and they're
angles.
trying to say that, or give the impression that Euclid was this old guy. He's from ages ago, back in the day. They didn't that's all they knew. They didn't, they only had a ruler and a compass. They didn't have a scientific calculator in those days.
Didn't have a ruler.
And they,
stick.
it's just what they knew, then. But since then, we've modernized it. But it's really difficult to find the bit where that logically changes, where one slips into the other without saying, well, that bit we told you before, forget about that. That only works in a place where it can't be seen, where it's close up and you can't see the difference, or too far away that you can't see it anyway. But we promise you it's happening over there. That perpendicular isn't parallel to this one now. Over there, miles, it's got to be 69 miles. That's a degree. That's where you'll see it. But you can't be in 2 places at once. You can't measure it. And when it's close up, it's imperceptible. It's this law of imperceptibility. It's a strange thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like this new modern mathematics has forgot about relating it to reality. They can separate the two completely. And I'm fascinated on how the mind prepares itself for the inevitable outcome is that you're going to find contradictions, because the moment you step away from reality into this fantasy land, you explode the logic, and you're going to be struggling with these contradictions. But I think the modern day education has prepared the modern mind for this. So I'm fascinated because I've got a son. He's gone through the school process. I'm fascinated to know how he's been affected by it. I can tell he has been, but it's to what sort of depths? But at the minute, we've got some, I call them crazy teachers, that just seem obsessed with pushing this, which to me is just a non-reality. It's easy to understand what a square is. Now, if you're going to come along and tell me that I don't understand what a square is, then that's your problem, not mine.
Yeah. Yeah, and over here they seem focused on wanting to link it to flat Earth. And that if you have a different opinion, then you must be a flat earther, despite any refutations to that. They can't cope that you're not one or the other. And so these the video bit over scholar source, it's just pointed at flat earthers. You keep pointing and saying, well, you are a flat earther, really. And then supporting that Earth being measured flat when they weren't listening, when you're saying, well, we question that too. We don't agree with that either. So how does that make us a flat earther if we're saying, well, how did you measure the Earth flat then? That sounds interesting.
Yeah, I think
they seem.
There is a saying at the minute that Nathan Oakley's only come up with that because we presented him an argument and made him say that the Earth is not flat. Literally got him to say that as the conclusion to the argument that then they had to deny. It's like snuck it up on him. We were the people that actually got Nathan Oakley to say out loud, the Earth is not flat. And this may be the rebuttal to that, the way that the modern mind works. To make right the indiscrepancies in his mind, he now has to convince himself that the Earth is measured flat when it's an impossibility.
Yeah, these struggles not to take on any truth is quite revealing, really, about some of these things. I mean, people just don't want to accept another reality or want to stick their boots in the dirt and try to resist any movement of any kind. Because the truth shouldn't really need defending.
Yeah, the truth speaks for itself, doesn't it? But what we've watched over the last few days is, like let's say the last few months since Vsauce brought that. Was it Vsauce? That video out about the axioms, like non-Euclidean, and how they because I mean it's fine as a mathematical concept, but you try relating it to reality, and that's where you'll come undone. Because you can't mix the two, but the modern mind's been prepared for the mixing of the two. Blurring the lines between fantasy and reality. And then they do the thing like they're trying to do at the minute, whereas, once you go to university, you get told the truth that triangles are different than what you imagined when everybody else. So you then become one of the special people. And I think that's what math and this chair of the mathematics department at Utah Valley University, I think that's what they want to be, the ones that are telling you, right, this special information that they normally keep just for their university people and teachers, because obviously Charles Flat Earth Math, when he goes to school, he'll have to teach the lie. Scholar Source is the one that's saying, you know, like, you get to know the truth when you're over here, but this guy that calls himself Flat Earth Math has to teach the lie that triangles have 180 degrees for some reason.
Yeah,
I don't know why they do that, but
yeah, and that's why I asked him the other day what informs him about, you know, and he to come here and speak about these things, and you know, yeah, it's basically not a good thing to propagate illusions and to teach illusions, you know. I mean, I just can't understand why you know would carry on teaching children something that is actually a lie.
yeah, you want to prepare them for university, wouldn't you? Not like teach
You'd
them a
think
lie
so,
that
you
has
know.
to be undone. I mean, it does sound ridiculous because I know this doesn't actually happen. Nobody goes to mathematics at university and says, all of my teachers in the past were lying to me. Because obviously you go to university, become a teacher yourself, and then have to go back and teach the lie.
Yeah.
What would be the use of you going to university to learn this higher maths? If it undoes the foundations of the maths that you then have to teach to anybody else. It sounds contradictory, and I'd say it is, because this is a model affliction. It's not got anything to do with the mathematics. The mathematics is a proof, a truth. What these guys are doing is more sophistry, geometric sophistry, and it's obvious, I think, to any real mathematician. I would imagine that the moment you have to apply reality to this fantasy mathematical model, imaginometry, you're going to be in trouble. Like imaginometry states, reality does not need imagining. It's already there. You can see it, you can measure it. You don't need to perform imaginometry upon reality. It exists outside of that. What they're trying to do.
Yeah, I tested it on the mother-in-law today. The straight line and the curved line, and she was dumbfounded, and her mind broke. You know, she said, I just can't wrap my head around it. You know,
Yeah.
I don't know why you bother to look at this stuff. Why are you even, you know, questioning stuff? It doesn't really matter. I said, no, it doesn't. It interests me. You know, I've become interested in it through asking some questions about some things. And this has led me to here. I didn't expect I'd go here. It wasn't where I planned to be, spending time, you know, thinking about these things. But I find it quite fascinating. That's just who I am. And yeah, but she just couldn't understand how a horizontal couldn't be horizontal, or a straight line couldn't be a straight line. And she's in her 70s.
Yeah, my dad's the same.
You know, blew her mind because, you know, she hadn't even thought of that, you know, that concept of, you know, I said, well, there are some people who will tell you in certain places that a straight line is curved, but you know that line there that you drew isn't straight, don't you? No, it's curved, it's not straight. I said, well, some people are saying that that straight line and that curved line are exactly the same. They're straight. They're both straight lines. I said, and that's fascinating. I know it won't make any difference to you, but the table, as you said, that's straight, isn't it? Said, well, yeah, apart from a few little curves, but what you imagine, what you see in reality. If I told you, that table was curved, you'd argue with me all day long. Yeah, reality is what we have, and yeah, I think that informs us much more subconsciously than the story that was placed there. The about the horizontals, the bits we learned at school. What we see around is, the shapes we see and the things it's just a subconscious sense of reality that we don't ever question. But when you come up to somebody saying that isn't so, what you're observing is not real. And that's a bit strange, especially from, supposedly educated people, that told you that actually, well, we knew that when we told you that at school, but actually, it's a bit like Santa. It's a bit of a lie. And if you're lucky, you might find out, but she's got to 70 and odd, and it doesn't really matter to her life much, really, at all. But it's only just occurred to her that a straight line can be curved.
Yeah, fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah, it truly is. Yeah. And then even like Charles, I wonder about his mind and wonder about how and why he does what he does for this amount of years. If he's on his own, what would actually motivate one person to be on this journey for so long? What is that? What kind of thing is that? It's almost like a mission. Just try to imagine, what would drive you to do that? What would inform you to do that? If you're a group of people, it might be something else. So there was a group think, and we must go and do this and stop this wrong think. Well, if it's wrong think, then you'd think they'd be starting with the children at school in the first place, so they didn't grow up this wrong think. And maybe that will come. I kind of suspect it might.
Well, isn't that what is it Alan Parry, the chair of the mathematics department? He's the one that said basically that people like Charles and his unfortunately YouTube name, like they're the liars.
Yeah.
I mean, have you ever heard him answer for that? Like, why?
No.
Why does he not get taught to, tell? Does he actually tell people that you're only going to use this in reality, right? As soon as you go to university, they're going to tell you that this doesn't apply to reality.
Well, I think it was somebody'd asked him. I just read these are things I'd read, but somebody'd asked him about how would people take you seriously? How do people take you seriously if you tell them that what they learnt was not true when they're not children? Like if you found it out at 60 or 40, what would they how would they respond? And he said they seem to take it quite well usually. Those that are willing to critically think about these principles typically find them quite fascinating, that not everything was exactly how they thought it was. And the term lie is obviously used as a tongue-in-cheek reference, so we didn't tell them everything. Most students in my classes take it not more difficully than the first time that a sixth grader learns that they can in fact subtract large numbers from smaller ones because negative numbers exist. That's a lie we tell young kids too. In that case, I don't actually think that notion is that complicated and that little kids could handle the notion of negative numbers, but everyone thinks so, And the principle here is exactly the same. We are constantly helping students upgrade their knowledge and realize that the facts they learned are only true in certain contexts, and that not all contexts are that one. Most students find it quite enlightening, though retraining one's intuition can often be challenging.
Is that Charles' replies in it? Because I think I missed most of that. Is that within this?
That's Scholar Source, yes,
Oh, right.
in some in replies to some questions he was asked in his to a further. He has
in the
done
Blue
a further
Marble video or in his video?
in his. He's done a new one, part one of the fifth postulate.
The
Vuth, yes. What's the deal with Euclid's Vuth postulate, part one? And he's got to put some production values in and playing. He's obviously thought about it quite a lot to construct the video and talk to himself and cut away to himself talking to himself, and but he does want to convey that that Euclid was a bit ancient and not really to be taken seriously somehow. In the props that he uses in the video and the pictures he uses of an old Greek-looking guy, and the and the tools that he pulls from his Euclid box. He said that he had up on his shelf, which is sort of rude. I think it was a ruler and a compass. That was where I got the ruler and compass from. That's what he held up as the tools that he was. Well, that's all he had, kind of thing. Well, this is all he had. These couple of things, and it's a kind of mind soup of preparing people for the version of truth that he has. I don't know what. Here's a part two. I haven't seen that; isn't out yet. But several questions that were asked, and I'd looked through some of the questions and copied some that I thought were funny, interesting. I think Mike's been in there. He's a bit more direct than some people.
I still haven't gone over the Blue Marble one yet, so I don't like to watch all of this sort of stuff without going over it. I like the watch with Bev, I think.
Yeah, so I won't give you too many spoilers about it, but that's where it comes from anyway. Yeah. The lie interests me, and the minds of people that do that, really, and try to justify it somehow. That it was like the guy when I went to my daughter's teacher, and she came home with the apple fell from the tree gravity. I said, "Wow, that was quick. He taught you about the apple falling from a tree, and now you got gravity in your mind." And I asked him about it and said, "Oh, what was the apple story you were doing? What was that?" And he said, "Oh, it's science." And that we talked about apple and the Newton and the apple falling from the tree. And he said, "Well, of course, we're not really sure whether that's a true story anyway, but it's a good way to bring them to gravity." And I said, "Well, I said Einstein has another version of gravity. Will you be talking about that?" He said, "Oh, no, it's far too complicated." I said, "Well, what you just told them is pretty complicated, but now he has gravity there through 10 or 15 minutes of a little story about an apple falling from a tree, and she's repeating that to me. And when I talked about what did you learn today, and things falling down, and the center of the earth, and all sorts of things. Wow, you've got this, and you don't know anything about it, but it's there, and you'll repeat. So I see the effect it has.
Is that going for everybody else or just me?
Robot in a bit to me.
Yeah, I think I think it's strange that we've been in this arena trying to trying our hardest to let people know about the tests and the proofs within reality. And now we've got a regular occurrence of teachers and university professors seeming wanting to argue about this discussion about straight lines within reality, and whether certain people think that they have to be the shortest distance between 2 points being a straight line, or maybe not a straight line. Like, I don't know how mathematicians like to, because you call it physics, wouldn't you? What a straight line is. Wouldn't that be physics? I sound bad. Can anybody else confirm? No?
Was it only me that was getting you broken up really?
No, you seem to be breaking up for me as well. It's good now.
Everybody does it. It's been a bit like when you play in a stream, it was also doing that. But of course,
Let me
might be
just
very
leave
quiet
and
as
come
well.
back again. Let me just sort this thing out. Seems like the sound's going a little bit strange. I might have to cut it short for tonight again.
Oh my God! Oh Christ!
It's 10 o'clock.
True level, bitch.
Am I back? Does that sound any better? Let me know.
Now without the breaking, I think.
Yeah, that sounds good. Might have been because I've been in the Discord for a little bit too long. Sweet. Yeah, sorry about that, Edbert. I thought that was a connection issue. Probably mine. Yeah, I don't know how they get the right to teach the apple when that's been said many times that it never actually happened. So it may be a convenient way to tell a story, but it's not true. And that's not how you do science. It shouldn't be how you do science, unless modern education is to lie to people that they, when they further go into further education, they can say, well, that was a lie. The reason it didn't make any understanding, it made no sense when you were at school, is because it was just an untruth. Basically what the professor, the chair of the mathematics department at Utah Valley told us the other week when he was talking to Blue Marble Science, when he made his video about triangles. Yeah, it's a very new modern world that we're living in at the minute. And especially for children to be growing up as well, because there are some parents that well, think it's a bit of a nonsense, but it's an education system. The teachers are forced to teach to the curriculum, and that's set by some other people. So the universities prepare people to go into these teaching jobs. Well, what we're being told here is that the universities are teaching the students something that they're becoming teachers and going back to mathematics and lying. Now, we know that Charles, the guy who calls himself Flat Earth Mathematics on YouTube, I don't think he's ever actually studied mathematics at university level. think he did statistics and computers or something. So whether that's why he can get away with calling himself a geometry teacher, I don't know. I mean, it would be good and interesting to talk to the professor, the chair of the mathematics department at Utah Valley, to ask him what he considers people like Charles, who have no real formal training, but you know, they're claiming to be teaching that subject. I mean, I don't know whether he does it or he just does it as a private thing to tutor the local kids.
And Bev, what percentage would you say of these teachers and professors have actually gone out of the classroom and the book into the field to verify what they're teaching to others to be true? Or did they just go from the classroom to the book to another classroom?
Well, the mathematics teachers will be teaching the proofs of triangles having 180 degrees. They'll go over trigonometry, obviously, which relies on triangles having 180 degrees. You'll work out which angle you're using the sine, the cosine, tangent function, and then you'll work out the angle, probably because you have to do some sort of a calculation with triangles and right angles and, you know, the angles adding up to 180 degrees. At no point will anyone say that you have to add on any more angles within any of those calculations. So what we have to remind ourselves is that these people that come up with these rebuttals, they're a minority of people. People like Flat Earth Math, Charles, that teacher, and the scholar source, Alan Perry, the chair of the mathematics department at Utah Valley University, they're the few. Now, I don't know why they're, why they've stepped up. Because we keep saying, like, we're just talking about reality. There's no need to defend against flat Earth. We know the Earth's not flat. But it sort of exposes them more when they have to keep rebutting what we say. And I find it fascinating. I find it fascinating that there is a university professor, the chair of the mathematics department, that has to go over to Blue Marble Science's YouTube or Discord channel, I presume he got allowed into the Blue Marble Science room, to make a video about us, stating about a triangle having 180 degrees. I find it absolutely fascinating. And to be honest with you, I can't understand why they're doing it. Why would it have to be different? Why could you not admit that a triangle on a sphere isn't a triangle? Otherwise, it's tangent to the sphere. Oh, Iridium saying any mathematics professor. Yeah, what we're trying to say, Iridium, is the relating of this non-Euclidean geometry to reality is restricted to a few broken minds. Because that's what happens. The moment you try to relate this non-Euclidean to reality, you literally have to explode your logical system. And that does strange things to the mind. If you have to, if you're forced into making that part of your internal science, right? Your knowledge gaining process. Introduce a contradiction and you're going to be in trouble. That's what we're talking about, Iridium. Not just the fact that people can make up geometries. I mean, I've made up the most non-Euclidean geometry there is, but it states within that you don't apply it to reality. This is got nothing to do with reality. Merry Christmas, everyone, from Mike Dornan. I should have been out yesterday, really. A straight line's a straight line, and if that's what you're using as your reference frame or your reference, if you're using a point, you're using a point. If you're using a line, you're using a line. You can't change the understanding of what straight is. There's no connections to reality. Don't be silly. Unless you're talking about like an actual ball, but that would be Euclidean. Not non-Euclidean. You'd be dealing with 3D. Reality. Sphere. Spherical. An infinite number of straight lines, I've heard said. Kidornagon. Yeah, you can't apply non-Euclidean geometry to a ball. That would be a Euclidean sphere in reality. No, mathematics professor. Just one. That's all you can do. Iridium. And both of the people, the PhDs that I've heard talk about this, non-Euclidean, have made triangles with 3 180 degrees. 3 pi. They get confused. Because technically pi would be Euclidean, that relationship, so you'd have to have more than that. So how could you have 3 pi angles? 3 pi radians when pi would have to have more. You'd have to have more than that. But that's not allowed within the framework of your own geometry. It's just a mess. An awful mess. But if there are any mathematic professors that are out there watching that would like to come in and have a chat about how you can magic angles into a triangle, the challenge is still on for anybody to imagine what a triangle with 540 degrees looks like and be able to vocalize it, because you can't draw it. That would obviously become Euclidean the moment you draw it. So you'd have to be able to explain a triangle with 540 degrees. It's a tough question. Do you have the rhetoric and the ability to vocalize a non-Euclidean triangle of 540 degrees? Simple challenge. I'll give everybody like a week or so to try and come up with something. You could ask any of them. Oh, there you go. Iridium. Can't do it himself. He's obviously not one of them. but he's just imagining for somebody else that they can do it. It's a lot of faith in your priests, Iridium. I like it. Yeah, we'll have to go over, Ebbo. We will have to go over the 12 and all of that with you, because I think that'll be interesting to see, you know, where the problem is.
Yeah, it'd be great. It'd be great. Yeah, I've been busy, having time to do all my homework.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Well,
I'm
it's
just
better
having
if
a
you
quick
don't
flick.
know about it. I'll run you through it.
Yeah.
You'll be able to.
Well, don't say that, and don't say that with Matt, because Charles might hear you. You know, he'll then say you've brainwashed me. Don't read it before I tell you, kind of thing. Yeah. No, yeah. I know there are gaps. I've got gaps in connections with one place to another, and it'd be great to go over some of that. Yeah, for sure.
And,
Yeah, I was just looking at scholar sources stuff.
Is that a new one?
And it's from a year ago.
Oh,
Yeah,
right.
a straight line's not a straight line, and
That's
right. I was just. Hey,
that's when Bob did
what? How,
his logic.
yeah.
Similar
Well,
sort of
you know,
time.
right out of it, I just listened to a few minutes. I wasn't paying attention too much, but I was sort of thinking, what's he got to say? And immediately he talks about the lies, and straight out of the gate, you know, about how they've had to lie to children about this straight line not being a straight line, and then
2 points. Aristotle was wrong.
Oh yeah, but there's a derivative about, you know, the slope, you know, the rate of change
of a point.
So, you know, yeah, of a line, of how the line, so a derivative is it called, and then a derivative of a derivative.
Yeah, it sounds like
which is like, yeah, which is like, you know, this is how you make a straight line curved. We call it a derivative, you know. And then now you got it. Have you got it? Derivative? Yeah, but I'm not sure. I'm just watching thinking, you know, straight out the gate, he's talking about, you know, the lie they told about the line being straight, not straight anymore. So, yeah, because he did have one about, you know, about triangles and trigonometry, and the triangles have got 180 degrees too. You know, that was earlier. Yeah. So that was one I just saw. I thought, oh, that's an interesting one too. Yeah, how do you do it? Yeah.
But Kevlar, what's this? I can't even do the accent. I'd like to exchange this amount for 3 arrows and a holographic frog. Merry Christmas. And I see Iridium's got really upset at the things we're talking about here. You know, I mean, it's not us that's saying it, Iridium.
Yeah.
It's your priests, not me. They're the ones that are saying it. You've got videos up. Sorry about that, but you'll have to have a word with them yourself. Because if you're defending them, then, you know, they must have told you to be able to defend for them. The shortest distance between 2 points isn't a straight line. That's got to be ridiculous, hasn't it?
This is false statement.
Yeah, why would somebody say that? This is the mathematical chair of a university in America.
It's a mine of content, I think, that one. You know, I think, you know, say he straight out of the gate. Yes, yeah. I was interested that he's straight out the gate talking about lying. So, you know, that would take a little bit of analysis to wonder why. I mean, he knows it's a lie. Why would you say that? Because, you know, even if they said there is a taught you about geometry, and they say, well, there is a concept, of course, that at a distance they are not parallel. But really, you don't really need to bother about that, unless you come across that in further and more advanced maths. So don't even say that. It's not like you knew that, of course, there was this possibility if you ever went there. It's never told. So I'd never heard it before. Never even thought it was a possibility. Never even related it to what they talk about, because I've always found fascinating that you'll start talking about just a line and that's it, and then they bring the model to it and say, no, it's if we live on a globe, well, we weren't talking about a globe, we were just talking about a straight line and horizontals, and then this model gets injected into the story and brought along with it. And I'd never heard that ever, as a supposed fact. Yeah, just hadn't. And it wasn't like it was sort of hung there as something you'll find in pure maths or advanced geometry. If you take that, as your A level or whatever, you will find out. We'll talk about that. But for now, in these, local things, we are fine sticking with this. It's an approximation. Never heard them saying it was an approximation, or it's nearly there. It's as good as it gets. You don't need to think of it as much more. The little things you want to do on a piece of paper, it's fine. Never. It was factual.
Yeah, you never get her to talk about the ideal triangle, or the conceptual mathematical line. It's why they decide to change it within their mind. So, like I said earlier in that thing, it's obvious that this is a mental thing. A straight line in reality doesn't change. The shortest distance between those 2 points in reality won't change. Just the way you imagine the shortest distance between those 2 points in reality. That's the only thing that can change. And if you don't have that framework of how to relate those points together, then you might just be model afflicted.
I mean, this is like an advanced flat Earth study, if you like. This is, initially you're showing some contradictions about the world you thought you lived in. This is much, well, it's simple, but it's, you won't come across this stuff in the first, few miles of flat Earth traveling. You won't come across it, if at all. And so, to come across this other level of contradiction that is about geometry and things that a lot of people maybe haven't even learnt to any great depth, maybe. This is it's interesting.
People get put off, don't they? I know a lot of people, if they were to hear people like this guy or whatever flat earth math come in and start talking about his confusion about straight lines, then they just look at it and say, I didn't really know much about geometry when I was I was never really any good at maths, so whatever, doesn't matter, it's not going to change anything. So off you go with your mathematics. People in this arena try to use it as some sort of an intelligence quotient, or how far you went in university type stuff. Whereas I don't think it really matters like that. But these guys obviously do.
Yeah, I mean, it has its own language, and I think that's perhaps that's not known by a lot of people. They don't understand the foreign language and the words that are used or what they mean when it's said, and that can be, if you can't understand the words, it's hard to kind of paint yourself a picture or imagine what's being said. And then if you got to go and search and find out what that word means, and you have got to understand the language to a certain point to get past that. And I think that puts a lot of people off. What did that guy just say? He sounded like, word salad. It's I didn't really understand what was even said to understand what the concept is trying to talk about. And I think, that's kind of off-putting for a lot of people. So their brain breaks and they can't cope to work it out. Got better things to do with their time than searching meanings of words. And I guess you have a particular mind or an interest to try and work it out for yourself if you never learned it or you don't remember that you learned it.
Iridium thinks that we've convinced ourselves that this guy's fringe. He's not. This guy, he's just confused. He's trying to relate something to reality where you shouldn't. The trick is don't try and relate non-Euclidean geometry to reality. There's already a geometry for reality. That one's called Euclidean geometry. The non-Euclidean geometry should give it away by stating that it's not part of reality.
Yeah, I don't suspect he's the only person in, amongst, there's only a few of them that got a fringe belief. So I'm pretty sure they're all telling the same story, largely, it's just, we've only come across, 2 or 3, 4, I don't know. You maybe come across a lot more, that will say the same thing. And, so I don't think it's he's some oddball. I think that is what they're saying. What I find fascinating is that they're going to lie in the first place. And like that video I just found, that a straight line is not a straight line. I'd never seen that before, or I thought anybody would be talking about that, but there it is. And he talks about the lies, like I said. So, I don't think he's one of a minority of people or a quirky band of mathematicians. I think they're all teaching that, but wasn't aware that's what was going on.
Yeah, once any teacher is made aware at what happens whenever you challenge any of these people, people like Charles or any one of the other people that see, when they see what happens, you bear in mind, these people are teachers. They work at schools. They have a governing body around them. Can you imagine somebody challenging these people and what they do to them? What would they get called as a teacher? Do you think that would be allowed? I mean, I know some people go around with Flat Earth Math as a YouTube channel name. That seems to be allowed. But for some reason, do you think the teachers wouldn't point at the other teachers and say, triangles have only 180 degrees? So how can you dare say that?
Yeah, they're not going to speak that out loud. They're going to follow the curriculum and not, cause any trouble. If it bothers them that deeply, they'll end up leaving.
Yeah, they don't do it at high school,
No,
so I don't know what Iridium's saying.
No, I mean, what I was saying earlier about, this is like advanced flat earthism, because, as I say, when I first started looking, this isn't what I came across. I came across some other contradictions, and now I've come to a kind of what I feel is a much deeper level of contradictions that's going, because I searched, I in the beginning, I was only hearing, like, say, Dave Weiss, on one of his like videos, and he's talking to some guy on a podcast who's just got Dave over. Well, we got Flat Earth Dave over tonight, and he thinks the Earth is flat, and well, we thought it'd be interesting to have a word with him. Hi Dave, tell us all about yourself. And then he tells him all his stuff, and then and the guy whose podcast he hasn't got a clue. Well, I don't know anything about that, he'll say, and I thought, well, that's not very challenging. What would a PhD or astrophysicist or a geologist, what would an expert say? How would they, talk? So I went searching for those kind of things, a deeper kind of conversation, and then found that these experts had no real answer, and they ducked and dived and dodged questions. And I thought, wow, that's really weird, because I expected that they would have a convincing argument, even if you couldn't, you were left to your own devices to decide which one you believed, or one would be so convincing, the truth, the truth would be obvious somehow, So, I was looking for deeper things, for a deeper understanding, because, as I said, when I first looked at it, it just came up, and I thought, well, I just want to know for myself. So, like I say, there's a guy 2 or 3 doors away from me, and he would talk to me, and I think, I don't quite know what he's talking about. And I wanted to be able to speak to him about it, and understand what he was saying. So it was for that, so that I could at least say to him, yeah, but do you know that bit when you're talking about blah, 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 blah? Well, that's that's rubbish, that this and this and this, and be able to have some kind of conversation with them, or at least to be able to think to myself, oh yeah, that flat earth stuff, it is mad. It is mad. They say it's mad, but yeah, it is. They're really lost, these guys. So that was the only reason I looked, just to know for myself, and fell into this big hole of contradictions, and thought, and I was fascinated. And because it then made me question not only, I didn't have a deep model in me. There are subconscious things within me, but I didn't have a deep model that I was clung to, that I would immediately defend as soon as somebody said, it's not curving. And if I said that to somebody, I know that there's people just defend it to, it's incredible. The defense, they come out and say, but you don't really know though, do you? They say, well, it's science, blah, blah, blah. So, well, why are you defending that? That's interesting, isn't it? That you're defending something you don't know anything about. And I said, that's what interests me. Oh, well, you think the earth is flat. I said, no, I'm interested in how we think and what we believe, and we never know anything about it. So that's what led me into those things. It's led me along to here. And then, I was told not to come here. That was the story out in Flat Earth World and Globe Earth arguments. It's the Flat Earth thing. I call it Flat Earth, because they're the people asking the questions. And they said, don't go there. Don't speak to Bev. Don't go and listen to Bev. And I thought, well, better go over there then, see what's going on. What is it that he says that's so mad, And I have come across some that I, think, yeah, that's a bit of a waste of time. I won't go there anymore. But then I came and I listened, and to make my own mind up again, like looking just for the question of flat Earth. And I came and I listened and I thought, wow, that's really interesting, because I did have an education with geometry, and a lot of stuff I would forgot, a lot of stuff I missed, and whatever. So I did understand some of these concepts to a point. And I've kind of remembered some and tried to learn more and refresh myself and learn new stuff that I don't know, and admit I don't know them. But so what I'm this coming to this is, for me, is like an advanced level of contradiction, because it is in the area of a different language for some people, and mathematics, geometry, philosophy. God, I was listening to a guy today, and the occult art of law. I don't know if you've heard it, and it sounds a bit kind of crystals and all that. But basically, he's talking about language and about how that's used in law, and how we give away our rights by the words we use and the things like registration and stuff like that. And when we fill in forms and things and talking about that, and then got onto money and mortgages and stuff like that as well. And there was a part 2, and I listened to a bit of the part 2, and he started talking about bacon. And I thought, wow, and about how he was the illegitimate son of Queen Elizabeth, and this other guy, remember his name offhand now, but who taught him or mentored him, and he was talking about empathy, and empathy is being along, because I've heard you talking about it, and I've ordered a book about Bacon and through the Hillsdale stuff. I thought, well, what was Bacon on about? I've heard his name, but I don't really know what influence he had, and that'll come along a bit more with the Hillsdale. I think when I get to there, I'll make some connections. But yeah, his name came up, and he's talking about how empathy is being crushed, and this was rooted from Bacon. He was talking about that empathy is being taken away from people, because when people are empathetic, they will join together, with common feelings and common thoughts and common goals, and if we don't, so that's what I thought about the people who come to crush this small group of people. I mean, it is small in comparison with the flat earth world. I thought that, and thought, oh, is this what they're doing? They're just trying to crush this unity amongst people who
division.
can speak about, yes,
They
about the
create
division.
You can see it all
Yes,
over the place.
yeah. And that's what he talked about too. And one thing he said was, if we don't all go, none of us go. The whole of humanity, it's a big bloody thing.
Yeah.
But the whole of humanity has got to go. Because if otherwise nobody goes. I mean, that's massive. How's that going to be achieved? You can only achieve it in small groups of things, I think, So if we don't all go, like what I feel about this group at this present time, let's say, if it ever turns out to be bullshit, I'll eat my words. But yeah, that's the feeling of here about the unity of all. If we all go, we have to all go. If we don't all go, none of us go. And this kind of division, you're talking about division. I'll drop the things in the thing later, because it was interesting, especially talking about the bacon thing. And it led me to, I was going to ask you about your sources of bacon and where you got, if you got any sources to that to help me to understand that a bit better. But here we are, this is a fascinating bit that I'm looking at Bacon or Aquinas or Plato, Socrates, Aristotle, Euclid.
Yeah.
I've now got 3 copies of Euclid. Well, I never went looking for this, but this is for me the beauty of it, is the stuff that I'm now discovering, the new knowledge that I'm gaining. And I'm really thankful for this flat earth journey now, where I got to a point was thinking, man, this is just madness. This isn't going anywhere. It's just, but of course, it's led to here. And it's not just, it's not the flat earth. It's not, saying that there's some, a group of conspiracy theorists, who believe in this old guy from thousands of years ago and kicking against the system and refusing to, sell our horse and get a Model T Ford type thing. There's a feast of things. I'm worried that I might never have enough time to do it all. Yeah. So that's that's what I meant about, the advanced level of seeing contradictions. Not just, the question about, 8 inches per mile squared or a curve or whatever that you might initially come across.
Yeah, that's what I've been saying to these guys. You go back through my Twitter and put like the human condition and stuff. I've been telling them, like that's what I was doing on social media. I'm okay with what I know and what I, and I'll work all of that stuff out for myself, right? I'll figure my own methods to find out my own knowledge. But I've been studying the human condition and why other people seem to want to, dictate to people what they'll do and how they all try and influence other people. I try to not influence anybody, in a forceful way or whatever. If you can help people along on their journey, then all well and good. But you don't really want to force anything, and I would hate to be the division between particular groups. I'd like to focus on how we are all the same, the commonalities that we can agree upon to start off with, and then build up from there. It seems like there is too much division. There's people trying to cause division, whereas we should be finding what we are united in knowing first, and then we can discuss and work from there, knowing that we all have a common foundation. But it seems to be harder and harder to do that sort of stuff. Hopefully we can start, just trying to keep it positive.
Yeah. Yeah, it's fascinating. Yeah, I mean, listening to this guy today, I was thinking he's been a psychiatrist in his life, so he has that aspect of those things and how the mind works. And he was talking about some things, and I thought, I know all these things he's talking about. I've made these decisions of my own, not based on the same. He was talking about slavery in a sense of how we give up all our time for money, and and that we sell ourselves to the system. Enslave ourselves in this chase for money and material stuff. And it all really made sense that about the language, and it's about about money, mortgages, birth certificates, legal speak, and how you can, just by giving your name, that you agree to a contract with somebody just online. If somebody asks for your information, so if you owed some money and the letter came to your door, and I know this to be true, and somebody's chasing a debt, if you don't reply, if you don't show any recognition to them, they can't do anything about it. As soon as you send the letter and say, if they trick you and say, well, we've reduced the debt 85%, we've got a discount, because they might reduce the debt, but then they'll say there's all these charges, and that's where they'll get their money. And then you get tempted to reply to the letter. You then created a contract. As long as you don't ever reply to it, there's nothing they can do about it, because you haven't entered into a contract, and simple things like that. And it got me remembering that the things that I've done in my life that were based on that feeling of being enslaved and wanting to feel free, that didn't have anything to do with the knowledge about what he was talking about, but just the knowledge that I knew that somewhere inside me, and I'd made those decisions for myself a long time ago. So that's again, that's those things that how you know, because you knew them. When you recognize truth, because there's something inside you. And talking about, when people are talking from the heart and there's something real about them, it has a different energy than the lie. And there's something you can sense in people the psychology of that, sensing something in that's a good feeling about the way somebody talks about something. Yeah, recognizing some empathy.
Can I cut in for just a minute?
Yeah.
For sure. I talk too much.
I didn't mean to cut you off. I was trying to
No,
wait for
you
a good moment.
go for it, man.
I've only got a few minutes, but you want a little live thing?
Oh yes.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
I've got to go do some more family stuff, but I got a time for one song anyway.
Cool.
All right. Oh, it's messed up. A skeptical mind was all I ever knew. Finding the knowledge in the real world starts with a point of which has no parts. These are the axioms of life. I'll I'll take my chances with the old ways, finding the proofs in geometry. And I don't care what all the sophists say, I'll find the proof in reality. 'Cause they were right, you know that they were right. Starting with circles and lines alone, constructing the nature of what's known. The conclusions are clear and the evidence seen. This 3D space works perfectly. And I'll take my chances with the old ways, finding the proofs in geometry. And I don't care what all the sophists say, I'll find the truth in reality. 'Cause they were right, we know that they were right. When all around you is sinking sand, you'll have a place on which to stand. If I'm already built for you, so open your mind, and I'll take my chances with the old ways, hearing the words of what the ancients said. They say my words sound like sorcery, but there's wisdom in all honesty. 'Cause they were right, we know that they were right. So come go with me, we'll find the truth. Come go with me, awaken your mind.
World famous Buster live.
I messed it up a few times, but it's all right.
Yeah, it's beautiful, man.
You don't get a chance to do it much. You have to do it a bit more.
This week I'll try to do a few of them.
That is good.
Kind of summed up everything we've just said for the last hour or so.
Well, you
It's
guys
just
were
there
talking, and I was like, I could do this song. It fits perfect. I should have practiced more, but
no, you came from the heart. That's cool.
Yeah.
Brilliant.
Yeah, I like that one. That's one of, but I like them all really. But I think that one had a a really, it came at a special time, didn't it? Wisdom.
Yeah, it did, for sure.
And that comes from just conversation, wasn't it? Like that was like a weekend.
Yeah.
When we were just chatting in the Discord channel.
Yeah, it was really good. Nostalgic a bit.
Yeah.
It still holds true though. Like all of the stuff we've gone over and learned, and
It comes from a source, doesn't it?
yeah.
And those things are, eternal.
It was just those
that
Logos
song is
moments.
eternal.
Yeah, it was just those Logos moments of finding these things and reading the older texts, and I don't know. It's just special.
Yeah, very special.
I mean, these things like these proofs, it's something like the geometry. It's held up for thousands of years. It's like it's just there. It's inherent in nature, and for people to say, "Nah, not that."
Yeah, not that. It's terrible when you don't have a that to base it upon.
Can I get the chords? I mean, can I just get the chords? I think I could learn it, but I need to be told the chords. You might even need to like give me it in a tab, because you'd be like, it's A minor something seventh, and I'll be like, well, which one is that?
I think it's an E minor.
E minor, okay. It sounded
so.
like minor because it has a sadness to it.
Yeah, I believe it's E minor. I don't know if it's B minor than A minor, but I sounded that way.
Buster's trying to think of now what is it that I do.
$50 an hour for lessons.
The thing is, I would actually pay for the lesson, and he'd be like, "Oh shit, I have to give the lesson."
Sorry, Mike. I'll get them to you. I gotta run do some stuff. I'm sorry.
All right, yeah. Thank you very much.
I
will get them to you.
Thank you, Buster. All good. Cheers.
Bravo, Buster.
Right. Yeah, I don't know. Are we going to go live tomorrow? Guess we can. We've got a fair few more stuff. I want to get over this Scholar Source stuff before we start doing some proper stuff. Go over that before the end of this year. And I wouldn't mind getting to the Euclid, but I don't know whether we incorporate that with the stuff that we're going to do next year. Because I think that these guys think that there's a problem where there is none. Think Euclid's elements, perfect work of art, if anything. A logical work of art. So for those people to say that there's a problem with it, I can't see the problem, and I think we can start explaining why there is no problem with it, and why, in fact, there's less than a problem with it. It solves a lot of problems. But obviously, if you've got a model afflicted mind, then you're going to have problems, and that's why they think there's problems, because their model dictates that there has to be problems. So I think that's the sort of stuff that we might be doing next year. So I think we just need to finish off with the trolls. So if there is any other globe guys out there and they want to have a final dig before we just start going over stuff from reality, then I suggest over the next few days let's get it over and done with. We've got Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, really, haven't we? I don't think we'll be doing a New Year's Eve one, but when is that? Would that be Sunday? Would be, wouldn't it?
Yes, Sunday.
Yeah. I don't know whether we'll be doing that. Or we might do. I don't know. But I'll have to
Happy
decide.
Christmas.
Final.
You haven't said Happy Christmas to paper and heard him for days.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, paper. Been off.
Thank you very much. Vice versa.
And I don't know, has anybody heard anything from Nathan Oakley? Has he actually put forward a proof? Or not? I doubt it, but there's a lot of talk about it.
I've just heard that he's a toxic mega C word.
Oh, right.
Mike is direct as usual.
Is that from the church side? From the big glitzy side? Yeah.
That's from the sea level side.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that's I'm not too sure what's going on with that. But yeah, there's some.
I just want to say
Go on.
It reminds me of my favorite joke in is it Always Sunny in Philadelphia? What's the one with the banana stand? The banana stand show. I can't think of it now, with George Bluth, where Michael Bluth has a boat, and the name of the boat is the C word, SEAWARD. And his brother tells him to get rid of the C word, and his mother's standing right there, and she says, "I'll leave when I'm good and ready."
Yeah. Has anybody got any other topics that we'd like to go over? It is a little bit early, but I mean, it's Christmas, isn't it? We're all... I don't know. I think we'll have a go tomorrow. I think we'll have a go over learning more about blue marble science and this university professor. I'll have a go over these other videos. I haven't really talked much about them, but I mean, it seems as though this guy has made a few videos, and we could do a rebuttal video to nearly all of them. It seems it's the most model afflicted university professor I know. But I mean, tis globe. It could use imaginometry. I guess we could help them out with that. Yeah, I think that's a little bit to work out as well, whether there's a mixture between a couple of religions, whether that two religions combined conforms to the, the perfect religion, where the mind can comprehend ridiculousness. I don't know.
Monadic Mormonism.
Yeah, they don't seem keen to talk about it, though. I guess is that something within a religion? People not keen to talk about their own religion? I think Christians are quite okay to talk about it, aren't they? I mean...
the Mormons has some stuff that they're a little bit shy about. I mean, the magic underwear for one.
There's some certain things that I can't see why that would come into, like, if we could do no questions about the magic underwear, right, as one of the things. Keep it to the earth shape and why their minds can comprehend. They can't seem to see contradictions. I think diletheism has really ingrained itself in that, whether it's within that religion as well as the dogmatic globe. I don't know. But it does seem strange that we have that sort of fascination. Charles is definitely.
I do I do know that Scholar Source can write a long reply. I know Mike would know that because he's been engaging with him and some of the stuff, the questions he asks him, and he's got these really long answers. And he's got another one about
it's ChatGPT like.
Yeah, it is a bit like that.
Feels like it. It feels like it's ChatGPT. Every time I read it, I'm like, did you just put this into ChatGPT? Because I'll just do it right back to you.
Yeah.
Because his answer is massive. It's really long. It's just the most recent thing I just saw that he's replied, and says something like, he says, the number of people on Earth who learn about differential and Riemannian geometry is small. But if you're going to argue that geometry is only one thing and that nothing else exists, you should definitely read up on opposing views and understand them. If not, you're not really qualified to make a logical argument that only one type of geometry exists. For example, try drawing a straight line on a piece of paper. Make it as perfectly straight as you can. Then take that piece of paper and roll it up so that the ends meet and tape it together. You now have a cylinder. Tell me now that paper is rolled up. Is the straight line you just drew straight or not? Straight or not? If it is no longer straight, how did it change? You drew it straight. You haven't changed the length of that line, erased anything, or drawn in more points. It was straight before. Now, can a microscopic being, call it an ant, on that surface tell any difference between that line as you drew it when the paper wasn't rolled up as opposed to when it is rolled up? Will the line bend or curve from the ant's perspective? That goes on, but I mean, how ridiculous.
It's the same guy. This is the same guy who said he can't live in anything other than Euclidean geometry. Like you can't change geometries. So it's like, what? You've just, honey, I shrunk myself?
Yeah.
Oh, F off.
Yeah, I mean, it's long. Yeah.
Ant on a rolled up piece of paper.
Yeah, and now it's not a straight line, but it is a straight line.
Is that the sort of science experiment that they do? You know, to children, or do they wait until they're at the university level to bring out the rolled up piece of paper? I mean, I know they did say that the schooling system was in decline, but I don't know
great
what
circle
people
and
were meant to get from that.
This is both the great circle and the Euclidean line are straight intrinsically. Any precise definition of intrinsic straightness will include both. And again, us not telling students about this is not really a lie. That was a tongue-in-cheek reference used as a silly hook in a video to get people to watch it. That references us not telling everyone everything because advanced math is too complicated.
Wow.
What's really happening is that when we teach math, we're going from the specific to the general all the time. And when you go to the general, not everything that was true in the specific stays true.
Wow, two different meanings of straight, both different than each other. As sort of maximally opposed as possible.
Yeah, it doesn't mean we lied, as in we told them things that aren't true, but we made lies of omission by telling them facts that were always true when they are only always true if we stayed with within the real numbers.
So would that mean that in non-Euclidean spherical geometry, pi would be the ratio between a straight line and a straight line?
Use things. You try to use some then bigger words that try and confuse the simple explanations. Polynomials.
Is this new? I haven't
It's
gotten the
new.
notification. This is a response to me. I haven't gotten the notification for it yet.
Okay. Oh, so it's to you.
Oh.
All right. I don't
Is
know.
it to me? It sounds like it. It sounds like it is.
It could be. I think it's to somebody else, but anyway, it's yeah. I mean, he puts a lot of effort into these, but it could be ChatGPT, you're true, but it's a hell of a lot of writing.
I think some of that sounds like him, actually, to be honest. He might be helping ChatGPT in writing that.
Yeah.
Well, they'll scrape the internet and find it and chuck it at somebody somewhere.
Well, this is going to become a response, a scripted response on how to deal with these questions.
Yeah.
The question is,
that's
how
the
can
thing.
a Euclidean straight line be any different in reality?
But that's why jobs like prompt engineering exist, because the second you get something like that, you can prompt engineer ChatGPT to refute itself.
Yeah.
Because all of these things are contradictory. So it just literally ends up like flat earth debate. Yeah. It's just an endless loop of circular nonsense.
Yeah, with it refuting itself in each argument. And it just depends how aware you are of the sophistry involved as to whether you can see the other side of the rebuttal to the other contradiction.
Yeah, and if you point out the fallacy, if you name the fallacy to ChatGPT, it will recognize it. And it will be like,
oh, yeah, sorry.
I'm sorry, and you're correct. And you're like, thanks. Yeah, I know I'm fucking correct. But then it'll just revert to its loop again.
Yeah.
Because this is not AI. Everyone's like, oh, AI is going to take over. It's like, no. This is not AI. There is no I. This is just artificial regurgitation. It's vomiting. That's all it's doing.
And every text chat that you've ever had with anybody, whenever you've been rebutting everything, has been logged by this thing. And it can access.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter.
And regurgitate.
Yeah, but first of all, I'm doing them all under a pseudonym on a VPN. And second of all, even though it's logging them, it's logging its own refutation of itself. So it's constantly fighting itself.
Yeah.
Which is what the logos and the anti-logos do. The difference is the logos always wins. In the end, the logos wins.
Yeah, you can't teach a computer to unlogic itself. But the human mind is different, isn't it? That's the part where the breakdowns happen, I think. Because if you know that ChatGPT is going to be in an internal loop, then place that in the human mind and see what happens.
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley. Yeah, let's go over our circular arguments for the day.
Measured flat.
And he says, and by the way, before you go all criticizing how we do this, what's your alternative? Do we teach second graders about geodesics and how to compute them on manifolds at the same time that they're learning how to draw lines using a ruler? Come on. This is how we teach everything to everyone. Parents lie all the time too, in the same way. When you tell your 3-year-old
Oh
to
my
never
God.
yeah, when you tell your 3-year-old to never under any circumstances touch the stovetop because it will burn them, is that really true? Or are there plenty of times when the
Yeah.
stovetop is perfectly safe to touch, but we don't want to confuse the 3-year-old with a nuance that they are unprepared to fully understand or appreciate? Well, we certainly teach it to our teenagers. Why don't you tell your 2-year-old about the birds and the bees? Well, I did. Why do you tell your kids that they have to do things because you said so? Not every fact requires all its background nuance to be useful, and quite often adding in all the background nuance can make the idea so incomprehensible that the fact is now incomprehensible. So the optimal thing to do is to start with the fact without nuance and add the nuance as the child grows mature enough to be able to handle it. The exact same thing happens with mathematics, and certainly the notion of straightness in geometry is no exception.
Oh, what a fucking sophist. Oh my, I mean, holy cow. Yeah, I mean, I hope that was to me. I hope it wasn't to somebody else. I don't know. Can you scroll up and see if my name, it's replied to my name? Because I'm not going to bother to reply unless it's to me.
It does sound like
It's
there's
not in my
a fair
mentions.
few people that are sort of challenging him within his comments, though.
Oh yeah, it is to me. I asked you to detail. Oh my God. Oh yeah, it is to me. Ah,
Is it?
yes. There it is.
Cool.
Yeah, I got it. Oh no, wait a second. Measurement, celestial pole. No, it isn't to me. I've got another one that's just as long. Holy cow. I've got one that's just as long. It just arrived 30 minutes ago.
Wow.
And it's 5 scrolls through my YouTube. Like 5 full scrolls.
You can't compete with that as an answer, right?
No, just cut and paste, drop it into ChatGPT, and say, ChatGPT, refute this.
Was that about
First
the
I go,
perihelion
first you
of
say
Mercury?
summarize. Yeah, the perihelion of Mercury. I just go summarize it.
Yeah,
Well,
go.
because I said the only way you're going to observe and accurately measure the perihelion of Mercury is within a Cartesian coordinate system established with perpendicular, horizontal, and vertical planar axes that are obviously established in reality with tools called levels and plumbs, respectively. And I don't know how many times I can tell these guys this, but oh God, look at this.
Slog.
If you use Newtonian gravity, I'm just talking about the geometry of it. I don't care about Newtonian gravity. I just Euclidean space. You look at you look at the light in the sky and you measure an angle. Right?
Mm-hmm.
It's not complicated. 3D space. Length, breadth, height. Is this complicated? Bev, on what axis do we measure length and breadth?
That would be on the horizontal. In reality, right? Yeah. Positions.
In reality.
Yeah.
And if you're like a geeky astronomer, what would you call that axis?
The azimuthal plane.
Yeah. Yes, the azimuthal, which is also horizontal.
Yeah.
And when you're measuring the angle upward, that would be the which axis would that be?
An angle in the vertical plane, definitely.
Yeah, the vertical plane. That would be a planar axis as well.
Absolutely, yeah. So you couldn't have it tilted or anything, could you? It would have to be perpendicular to the azimuthal.
Yeah, and if you had like a light, like kind of just heading up the slope of that plane along the way, each of those lights, you could drop a vertical line back down to your horizontal planar axis, could you not?
Absolutely. That would be the vertical plane that you are directing the angle within.
Yes. Yeah. So then you have the classic slope, the rise as it heads up on the vertical along the horizontal run.
Well, yeah, but you wouldn't actually have the horizontal run or the rise. You'd just have the angle on the vertical plane.
You would have the angle.
Yeah.
You would have the delta. You would have the delta between the run and the rise.
Mm-hmm.
The change in rise over run.
Expressed
Not
as
hard.
an angle.
This is expressed as an angle. With triangles all along the way. All of those triangles having exactly 180 degrees. No more, no less. Irrefutable.
Yeah, Euclidean. And everybody would understand that. From anybody with a telescope or surveying tools.
Yeah. Are you listening, guys? Are you listening, Scholar Sauce? Do you hear us? Are you listening to this part of the show? I'll probably post a link to this and go, listen to this part right now. Since you're terrified to talk to us, you will not come in here because you're terrified to open your mic. You went to Blue Marble Science to give you that warm little rub, that tug, that little bit of a reach around and make you feel warm and fuzzy, didn't you? You went there and said, oh, massage me, Blue Marble Science. And he did exactly what you wanted him to do. Why? Well, because
I bet you got a channel boost.
You're that kind of guy. Yeah, I'm sure he did. I'm sure he gained another 50 subscribers. God bless him.
I think he might even be able to sign him up for a meeting with Simon Dan. Because that would be helpful for Simon Dan at the moment, wouldn't it?
Oh, yeah.
To get somebody like that in. To point out to people how stupid the flat earthers have been. And how the earth obviously isn't flat.
Nor is it measured flat.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll tell you how it's measured not flat in reality by using straight lines. And
we literally just did that.
Yeah, Scholar Source can tell you how it's done by imagining straight lines differently.
I have one objection, because I think that Earth can be measured flat by using spherical geometry, because on the surface of the sphere, everything is flat. So you can use spherical geometry to measure Earth being flat. This is my claim.
I think they would defend that.
Well, I think, didn't Bob say that the shortest distance was a great circle route, and in that case, that's a straight line?
Which is flat.
Which is 2D.
According to Nathan Oakley.
It's 2D, according to Bob, and all of the globe
According to Bob.
I suppose Scholar Source would have to say it's 2D also.
Oh, 100%.
And I consider 2D to be flat. So, by my reckonings, they are the flat earthers.
Both sides.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they all think it's measured flat. They just think of 2D differently. Whereas we all know that there's elevation changes. Yeah, two groups of people who both imagine everything to be 2D. Measured so. Right, I think I'm going to end this one tonight. We are going to be back tomorrow and go over the Scholar Source shit stuff.
I'll post his response in the live text.
Right. Well, we'll be going over it tomorrow, so if you can hang them back, and then we can talk about this sort of stuff, because I know you've had quite a lot of conversing with this guy.
Weirdo.
Yeah. We'll do the other professor, the real professor. advanced simplicity. Okay, thank you very much for watching. We will be back tomorrow to go over blue marble science and the Utah Valley University mathematical chair. Having a little bit of a chinwag about us. I don't think they've dealt enough with slandering us or presuming something about us, so I think that'll probably be coming tomorrow. Okay, thanks for watching. See you tomorrow.
Let me give you an analogy. And I already have the idea in my mind. Existence must be necessary to the idea.
Advanced simplicity takes hold. You'll find the truth from things of old.
I have an idea in my mind. I have an idea in my mind that a triangle exists. The idea in my mind. But the angles of a triangle do not add up to 180 degrees. Think about it. I have an idea in my mind that a triangle exists. But the angles of a triangle do not add up to 180 degrees. What's the conclusion?
We are on the road, suspending judgment until the truth is known.
Think about it.
You will find peace within, in the midst of all these troubled souls.
I have an idea in my mind. What's the conclusion? You don't know what a triangle is. Or you're flat out contradicting yourself.
Advanced simplicity takes hold.
You're flat out contradicting yourself.
You'll find the truth from things of old.
You don't know what a triangle is. Or you're flat out contradicting yourself. Just as it is necessary for a triangle to have 180 degrees. What's the conclusion? You don't know what a triangle is. Or you're flat out contradicting yourself. Think about it. It is necessary for a triangle to have 180 degrees. That is a necessary property of triangularity, triangleness.
We are on the road, suspending judgment until the truth is known.
Think about it.
You will find peace within, in the midst of all these troubled souls.
Therefore, the fool is in a self-contradiction. He violates the principle of non-contradiction.
There's no end game in mind.
Therefore, the fool
is only the truth that we seek to find.
Violates the principle of non-contradiction.
There's no end game in mind.
The fool
is only the truth that we seek to find.
Therefore, the fool is in a self-contradiction. He violates the principle of non-contradiction. He simultaneously says, I have an idea of God, and then I don't have an idea of God.
Everyone must see it for themselves. The truth is there for you to find.